from the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio. Now, it's time for the Smoak Show. Presented by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. It's time for the Smoak Show on 365 Sports with David Craig and Craig Smoak.
And good afternoon, 365 Sports, the Smoak Show on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope you've had a really good day. And we have a lot of different video, audio from coaches in the SEC Media Days that continue down in Tampa. We'll have that in just a moment. Also, Nick Saban with his thoughts about the 12-game schedule and what teams or who they should play. He didn't do that when he was the coach at Alabama, but he's got a suggestion about what they should do. Craig Smoak, good afternoon, sir. And I know this isn't breaking news, but the heat is throughout the country, and Texas, we're just getting started.
Yeah, we got the heat dome, and good afternoon to everybody. Glad to be here again. Appreciate you joining us. But, yeah, the heat dome has settled in, so we are at 104 right now, just registering on my computer. And, yeah, I know that it's supposed to be 100 for, like, the next week, and even saw – and I can't even imagine what the feels like is, because we also have the humidity to go along with the heat around here. So it's just a really great thing. But, yeah, 105 right now, and we got a lot of days to come, it looks like, of 100 on the barometer. So, yeah, better get used to it. And I was looking for the feels. 108 feels like
That's
right
what it
now.
says, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lovely time to be in the South and Texas and inside of this heat dome. But I will say it took a while to get to the point of just wanting to jump in a lake somewhere and cool down. I mean, usually it's like this for a good 2 months by this point. So we've actually caught a bit of a break and just now really starting to cook. So I'm not complaining too much about it.
There was a rain just a couple of weeks ago that really was something we're not used to. And since that time, it, of course, has just been burning up. So hope you've done well today. And, oh, by the way, I had a good conversation back and forth with Bracket Cat yesterday after the show. He, of course, is a farmer and is a huge fan of Kansas State. And he has a tractor that has the United States American flag on it, and then maybe another flag. It's probably Iowa State. I don't know. I mean, Kansas State. Ooh, excuse me. But he wanted me to look into getting a 365 Sports Smoak Show flag and polyester so that can handle the wind. And I have, I think, a couple of options for him. So another person that is a viewer, one of our friends of the show, who wants to fly proudly the 365 Sports flag. Andrew Valet gave me some options, and Bracket Cat, I'll be in touch with you. Also, before we get to the next part, our good friend, Pet Cat again, has sent me even more details on his college championship playoff, or Super League, excuse me. It is very lengthy. We're going to wait until I get back. I'll be back in the studio on Tuesday. We'll be out both Friday and Monday. I'll be out tomorrow. Craig and Garrett do the show, but we will go through that, and I'm going to literally try to put graphics together for you, old Pet Cat again, and get that up for you, but we appreciate you doing that as well. So Nick Saban today was at the SEC Media Days in Tampa. Of course he is. He's a broadcaster now, analyst for ESPN. And he thinks that everybody should play 12 games against Power 5 schools because it's a business. People want to see those games. TV wants to have that kind of inventory to show those games. I think it's really, really important. Saban went on to close it out with this. I'm glad we've gone to a 9-game schedule talking about the SEC. I think it will be more interesting for the players and also the fans.
Yeah, I think that it's something he's been talking about for a while, and it's not anything that is kind of out of nowhere if you've listened to Nick Saban. I don't necessarily agree with him. I think that I see his point after all, but I don't necessarily agree that that's the best way to do things. I do think there is some value in the smaller schools being able to play the bigger schools to get that paycheck. And after all, it's not like we're talking about it being 3, 4, 5 games of your schedule. It's like one game on the schedule every year. When the SEC had 8 games, maybe you could sneak a couple of games like that. Everybody playing 3, you're still sneaking a couple games like that, maybe in a lot of cases. And that matters to Elon and to the various other examples you'd want to throw out there and use the schools that get that $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 check to come get beat up in Columbus or Austin or Waco or College Station or wherever. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, as a businessman, sure, give me more Power 4 on Power 4 games or Power 5. Although I don't think there is a Power 5 right now, and some people don't believe there's a Power 4. So you're entitled to that opinion, but I definitely don't think there's more than 4, and there's really not by the definition. The power is just another word for autonomy. Autonomy, the word for the schools that are making up the rules and have the control. And really 2 of them have the majority of the control because they extend all the way to the playoff. But the Big 12 and ACC still have say in other matters. The Pac-12 no longer does. So there's not a Power 5 anymore as far as what that's supposed to mean. But, I think it's an argument we see brewing a lot nowadays. There's people that want to maintain some level of tradition and don't mind there being buy-in games. Don't mind there being a game or 2 on the schedule that's a blowout just because that is kind of still what we grew up with. And then there are other people that feel like we need to take this thing to the extreme of the optimum version of it, which means like no throwaway games, no chance for App State and Michigan to ever occur again because Michigan should never play App State. Michigan should only play teams in the Power 4. So I guess it depends on your perspective.
Well, we're going to have some examples of that because the Big Ten's taken, of course, a shrapnel about their schedule, their non-conference schedule. And Saban said Power 5. And Spinner Bear, Stevie Heisman, he meant the Power 4. Kalen DeBoer, now at Alabama in his 3rd year after Saban retired, and what a job that was to replace him. And he was asked, and here's a video of him responding about, will his legacy change? Will his legacy be set based on winning a national championship?
By whether you win a national championship?
I certainly know that that's an important part of what's happened in the program. So I wouldn't doubt that if that's the case. I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on just helping our program be the best and trying to bring out the best and raise the level of everyone around me, from coaching staff to our players, trying to maximize what we're capable every single day.
That's DeBoer, and there was a note about him. There was some speculation. I know even some analysts who were there mentioned that he has not done a good job, and yet out of 130-something coaches in FBS, he apparently is 5th over the last couple of years in wins. Now, at Alabama, that's, for most people, you'd take that right now. Damn, I would for my favorite college football team. But for Alabama, when you've had Nick Saban for as long as they did, the dominant run that he had, he's had the 5th most wins, which is saying something. But at Alabama, you're not defined by how many wins you have. It's about how many banners and trophies you win.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think it's part of the territory when you're at Alabama. I also think it's a bit ridiculous at this point in his career to not just give him a little bit of credit, but to act as though he's just been this awful coach for like a very short amount of time. He's been very, very good still. But yeah, I know it's not up to Saban and Alabama expectations. I find the asking him if he needs to win a national title to define his legacy to be a logical question. I think it is a little bit premature to try to go to that well. I feel like it would make more sense if he was a little bit further down the line and was still experiencing somewhat of a drought. But this is the Alabama job. This is what comes with replacing Nick Saban. You knew what you were walking into. He certainly doesn't seem to be complaining about it. I think others just kind of view how that job is looked at, and it's certainly unique. And there's only a handful of schools that probably have the stress and the expectations, even though everybody's got a stress and expectation to win, but very few have to that level of an Alabama. I mean, it might even be like in the top 2, if not the number 1 most pressure job in the country. I think Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, others would have something to say about that, but it's up there. So yeah, I mean, he's had a couple years. It's been okay, not great. They did make the playoff. They did go into Norman and beat Oklahoma. That's not nothing. So I don't know. If I'm an Alabama fan, there are lots of questions. Like, can you get certain things up and running like your running game? Can you replace Ty Simpson, and can Keelan Russell or some combination of guys be great like a lot of other Alabama quarterbacks in the past? There are a lot of questions about them, but I think there's a lot of reasons to also be excited about them, and they're firmly in the mix. It is an interesting time, though, where they're not like just at the forefront of every talking point, though, as we got so accustomed to there for about 2 decades with Saban. So yeah, there's actually doubts these days about Alabama and even their ability to make the playoff, but they did make it last year. So it'd be one thing if they hadn't and they were on some sort of a drought, but I get that. Yeah, it's all about national titles. So whether it's year 1, year 2, year 3, or year 13, unless you have one, you're going to be kind of haunted by the lack of one.
Well, one of the players for Alabama, Ryan Williams, there's a note, Kalen DeBoer brought this up. This is pretty cool in this day and age where everything seems to be about NIL money and transfer portal and all that. He is set to graduate at the age of 19 later on in December. 19 years old, and he's going to have a degree from the University of Alabama. Now, Jeremiah Smith has been everything everyone thought. Ryan Williams had an explosive start, but I would think that Alabama and fans and coaches would like to see him step up even more this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they absolutely expect him to be better, and I think he has not quite lived up to the expectations or even to a Jeremiah Smith or someone along those lines. He's had some kind of dough moments where you face palm because of a drop or something along those lines. It's kind of become something that's dragged around with him. He's a really talented player still, but yeah, he's not quite fulfilled the, I guess, ideal of what people expected when he signed. So very excited to watch him this year. I know there are definitely some doubters, if not some outright haters of his. There's also a lot of belief that he could have a really huge year, but regardless of what he does on the field, I mean, to graduate at 19 is super impressive. And I wish I would have had the ability or the, I guess, mindset to do something along those lines. I wish I had been one of those people that I knew that was taking the college cred classes when I was a junior and senior and trying to graduate as early as possible. I just didn't have that level of focus. So to be a big time player, I know he's got tutors and this, that, and the other, but yeah, to graduate at 19, that's going above and beyond. And that's really impressive.
You know, I don't remember. Maybe I could take a class in summer school that gave me an extra couple of 3 or 4 credits. I don't remember for sure. I think I did that one time. I know once I was in college, I could take summer school that went towards my degree. But in high school, that was never even on my mind. I was just trying to make sure I enjoyed high school and got what I needed to graduate.
Yeah, he's a guy who's got major expectations because of how highly he was rated, the fact that he's at Alabama, how good he was as a freshman. I mean, your first team all SEC. What do you expect him to be after that? Well, if this is how it started, imagine what he'll be as a sophomore. And then his sophomore year, there were some struggles. He had some injury issues that clearly were playing a bit into some of those struggles. I think there were some mental things probably going on to an extent as well when you think about some of the drops and like that, how that can kind of become just a thing in your head almost. So I don't know how much of that was playing into those drops or if that's just comes with the territory. But he was sensational early on. And then last year, was a bit of a step back. So I think, there's a lot of reason to believe he could have a massive year this year. Or if those struggles continue, well, that's just going to open up to a lot of questions like, what the hell's going on here? Like he can't catch the football. Like what's the deal? But he's ultra talented. He's obviously very smart. And he's got a good head on his shoulders to be able to graduate at 19 years old. So, Ryan Williams, a guy who I'm definitely excited about watching this year. An Alabama team I'm very intrigued by because post-Saban, they are not bulletproof. And they're still, at the same time, good enough to roll into a road stadium and win a playoff game against a really talented team in Oklahoma last year. So, they're not perfect, but they're still pretty damn good. And they're in a really packed SEC when it comes to all the possible contenders. So it's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, Texas, Georgia, Texas, and then there's 2 or 3 others. A&M, obviously, after knocking on the door last year, are right now in that tier above them as far as expectations, but at Alabama, it stays that way. Williams in the 3 playoff from the game against Georgia, when they lost 28 to 7, and then against Oklahoma, he had 6 catches for like 100 yards, no touchdowns. And on the 2 years he's been there, he's had 48 catches his freshman year, but averaged 18 yards per catch. And he also scored 8 touchdowns. Last year, 49 catches, but 14.1 yards per catch and had 4 touchdowns. That is not just him. It is also perhaps the offense too. And so he's looking for a good year. And what great story, though, about the fact he's going to get a degree at the age of 19. John Sumrall, he was at Tulane. He's been very successful, took the job at Florida. They need help. That obviously did not work out for Billy Napier. Florida thought that there were other options that they would have as well on who would be their head coach. I think Lane Kiffin's name was in that mix too. Sumrall was asked about the challenge that a lot of people, there's other coaches in the SEC, analysts have brought up this playing a 9-game conference schedule in the SEC.
You would be kicked out of our team meeting.
Okay, that's not it. That's not it. That's him complaining about media members. We'll talk about this, you and I, Craig. He was in the press conference with many things. Please come back to us on the set. And Sumrall heard a cell phone during the media in the press conference, and he snapped at the person whose cell phone rang. He didn't ever bring up his name, but he said if that was in a team meeting, you'd be asked to leave.
Yeah, he said our team meetings if the cell phone is ringing, and I've seen a lot of extreme reaction to that deal. Yeah, I can see where people feel like it was a little bit of an overreaction. I myself have not had a chance to see the actual reaction. I saw it on the way over here, just kind of the comments to it. So I need to go during the break and actually watch that since we're talking about it, because I don't want to go crazy and be like, wow, what an ass. And then it turns out he's like tongue in cheek the entire time. But I don't think based on the way I read it, that's what it was. It sounded like he was actually being serious to some degree, and it kind of rubs some people the wrong way. Look, I know that coaches typically don't have a high level of respect for the media. They're a tool, if anything else, for them to use to promote their program or to get messages across or whatever. And I know that they're in the chair of being bosses and leaders, and they boss everybody around. But, buddy, the last thing I'm going to do is have a college football coach trying to talk to me like I'm a player. Like, I've seen coaches like Gary Patterson try to do that to people, and I am just waiting for the day, and I don't go to many post-game press conferences anymore, where a coach would attempt to do that, because you would hear a reaction from me, and maybe it would go viral, but it wouldn't be because I'm disrespectful, and it wouldn't be because I was looking to go viral. It would be because sometimes these guys need to get knocked down a peg or two as well. Like, you don't boss everybody around, pal. So if that was just an unintentional phone ringing and it was just a joke on his part, which, again, I'll go listen to it during the break to make sure.
While you're still talking, if you could, try to dial that back up again, Rez. I'd like to play it again from the beginning once Craig finishes his point.
Yeah, so, I mean, it depends on the context of that. But, yeah, I mean, if you're being serious about a cell phone ringing, I get it, man, but there's like 1,000 people there. Everybody's going to and fro and trying to get their stories uploaded and having bosses call them and clients call them and family call them. And, like, it's just media days are hectic. So a random cell phone ringing during a press conference, I can understand if this was at Florida, you just lost in the swamp, and you've made it a rule where, hey, turn your stuff off and nobody talks and everybody remains quiet. That'd be one thing, but that's not really what this is. So, yeah, I see why people could take that as a strange reaction.
Here is, he was being serious. Do we have it? Here's John Sumrall as he's.
We're going to unfold, and you would be kicked out of our team meeting. I swear. Like, you're lucky I'm not going to throw this freaking podium right now. Like, it drives me crazy.
All right, there it is.
I would.
It's kind of a little bit.
It's a little in the middle.
A little bit in the middle where he was like joking, but throwing the podium was a little bit over. But it was a little bit of both.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think without the laugh track from the media in the background, it would have probably come across as a bit more serious. But yeah, I saw and look, I think this is why Twitter's a bad barometer sometimes, because it's just such a wide swath of opinions, and there's just, you don't know how much of it's honest and how much of it's like piling on and how much of it's just stupidity sometimes as well. So I saw a couple of tweets that I would have thought that was much worse based on the reaction to it, that you would have thought that he like cussed the guy out and said this, that, and the other. That's clearly not what that was. I also don't think he was entirely joking. I think he was kind of tongue in cheek, but leaning more towards serious. That's not a big deal to me. But I can see where you could view that as him being a little over the top or a little aggressive, but not nearly what I thought when I saw some of the comments to that. So not a big deal to me.
That's why I wanted to replay it. It was a little bit of both. Summerall also, when the audio that we couldn't play or the video we didn't have was on the 9-game schedule, he said, "I'm not going to whine and complain about being an SEC head football coach." So good for him for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I think that there's been this kind of theme, and going back to what I was saying about the press conferences, I'm no tough guy by any means. I just think that there are sometimes coaches who try to be the bully, and I don't stand for the bully. I am anti the bully. So I don't give a damn if you're making $5 million as the head coach at Texas or at whatever school, whatever university. If you're disrespectful because you think you're the big ball coach and you can just talk and treat people like trash, well, I'm going to call that out, because I don't think that's acceptable behavior.
If it was a post-game win or lose situation, would you feel differently?
If they had just lost in the swamp on a last-second field goal to Tennessee, and there's a rule in place in Gainesville of like, turn your stuff off. There's a sign. It's and the phone's going off.
That's a media protocol. Yeah, it was.
Well, yeah, so that would be different.
Yeah.
This is media days, like I was saying. So there's people rolling around. There's 1,000 people there. They're going all up and down these halls. There's a million things going on. So I think that was more of him joking, but also kind of being the coach. I don't have any different opinion of John Summerall based on that. I'm just saying, based on experience of previous coaches that I've seen over the years, there are times when they do cross that line and they try to treat a media member like it's their player. And it's like, buddy, that's not how this works. And there's some media that will cower to that or be afraid of losing their access. And I'm just fortunate that I haven't been in a position where I'd be able to talk back, because I think that would probably be on ESPN. Who's this dude barking at John Summerall? But I don't think that warranted it there.
All right. I'll tell you, there's two coaches that Brent Key at Georgia Tech and Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I love both of their styles. I love the way their teams play. They've had quarterback play with Haynes King and then also Diego Pavia. That's changing this year for Vanderbilt. I just like everything that Clark Lee says. It just all makes sense. Now, again, Vanderbilt's got to keep winning, which they've done the last couple of years. But here is Clark Lee explaining what they're doing at Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt football has become something different. We've been learning what winning requires, what winning demands, and what winning can mean for a university, an athletic department, an entire community. It's been a remarkable journey, and I'm incredibly grateful to everyone who's had the courage to believe in our vision and walk beside us along the way. I'm especially grateful to our players, those who chose to stay and fight together to build something meaningful while the world laughed from the safety of the sideline. I'm indebted and I'm inspired. But let me be clear, progress is not the destination. Last season was not an arrival. It was simply another step in the climb.
There we are with Clark Lee, Vanderbilt. You've heard me say that before. That's the kind of coach I'd want to play for. Not everybody would want to. I think they would. And I just like the way he's not up, he's not down. He's just right there in the middle, but obviously you can see the intensity.
You can definitely see the intensity. Going back to John Summerall for a second, we didn't wrap up on the SEC comment. I want to get to a theme. I do think there's a lot of complaining and a mixture of that's going on right now. But yeah, to Clark Lee, he could give Dave Aranda a run for his money as far as a sleep track goes, because yeah, you can sense the intensity and the messaging is clear and all that, but man, he is like so calm that I feel like I would just not be able to stay awake in team meetings after practice, because it's like it's just too straight line, and it reminds me of Aranda to a degree where yeah, you could throw that on in the background and I could get a good 8 hours of sleep, but it works on game days. It's obviously working for the Commodores right now in Nashville. He's done a great job there. They do have some sizable shoes to fill with Diego Pavia. They also have probably a lot less headaches and distractions to worry about with no Diego Pavia. But he does deserve credit for helping kind of put them back on the map, and Clark Lee deserves the majority of the credit. But yeah, they're not shying away now from expectations and believing that this is a climb and not just a little blip on the radar. So yeah, you can't just count Vanderbilt as an automatic win anymore. And it's just a matter of what you can kind of position them as far as how tough of an out they're going to be, which I think is a big question mark this year as they kind of try to figure out the quarterback spot. But
they got the kid that was committed at Georgia that flipped to them, right? The quarterback, yeah.
They've got a few different options like Jared Curtis and whatnot. But yeah, excited to see whether it's Curtis, and I guess the signs probably pointing to that being the case. But they're a program that's not turn the channel TV or expect a blowout TV anymore. They're a program that, can give Texas all that they're worth or upset a team on any given Saturday. So for the SEC and the pound for pound conversation, that was an anchor that was kind of dragging them down to some degree, and that's no longer the case now. So that's great for Vanderbilt. That's great for the league and great for their strength of schedule and all that comes with that. And very curious about what the Commodores do to follow up the very short-lived Pavia era.
They had a good run with James Franklin, and that's why he was obviously one that Penn State wanted. Now he's at Virginia Tech, but Clark Lee, his record overall is under 500, but what they've done the last couple of years is kind of, you're going, and Pavia 2 years ago, junior, New Mexico State, 7-6, gave him a chance, won a bowl game, and then last year they didn't win the bowl game, but they were 10-3 overall with some nice wins in that 10-win season. Alex Golesh in Ole Miss, what a job he did last year when it was obviously Lane Kiffin was not coming back for the postseason, for the playoff run. LSU, that drama that was going on constantly. And I thought Pete Golesh did a phenomenal job, as did everybody else.
Pete Golding,
excuse me. I'm thinking I'm talking Alex Golesh.
Yes.
On his relationship, Alex Golesh at Ole Miss, and he's the one that helped.
Pete Golding is at Ole Miss.
I'm getting confused here today.
You talking Ole Miss?
I'm having a stroke right there on the air. Yes, him. Pete Golding, who took over, he was a part of the defensive coordinator position at Ole Miss. They had a great run, fantastic year. A lot of it overshadowed because of Lane Kiffin leaving for eventually LSU. Was he going to coach? Was he not going to coach? Was he even allowed to coach? Well, obviously, Golding took over and did a phenomenal job. He today at the SEC Media Days was asked about his relationship with Lane Kiffin, who now, of course, is the head coach at LSU.
Where we go. So we're on our caravan tour right now with Ole Miss. So we go every Tuesday and Thursday and take a couple players and go around the country. So we go Q&A with everybody. So it's everybody's tell me how you really feel about them. They're like this intimate, environment. But Lane and I are good. So, I did not know Coach Kiffin prior to taking the Ole Miss job. I think everybody just assumes Alabama. I wasn't at Alabama when Coach Kiffin was, So I didn't come to Ole Miss because of Coach Kiffin. I came to Ole Miss to be at Ole Miss to raise 3 kids. So, our relationship really grew in those 3.5 years, and he did a lot for me, and I was very, very appreciative of how he treated me and my family, and learned a lot from him. So I have no ill will towards Coach Kiffin. He texts me on a regular basis, and there's certain things that we'll talk about, and there's certain things that we don't talk about. He's very competitive, just like I'm very competitive. Right. And so obviously a lot of this went a different direction when now he had a new job with new responsibilities, and he's going to be super competitive to be the best that he can at that job. Right. Which is his job. And so I can separate the two. I know some people can't. So, I tell a lot of these people, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't care. All right. Like I told an Ole Miss group the other day at 21, I said, all right, in 2021, if you said you could look in 2025 and you're about to be 11-1 and go to the playoff, would you take it if your coach was leaving? They're like, hell yeah. I was like, you would. Everybody won from it. It's okay. Keith, like you made a great hire. You did a great job. Every place isn't for everybody. That's coaches, that's players, that's your job, that's everything. And that's okay, And so throughout the process, I'll be the first one to tell you, I told him I was think he was dumb if he was to leave. I wanted him to stay. That was a selfish decision because I love being the DC where I was at, right? But he decided what was better for him and his family, and that's for him to decide. So I have no ill will towards him at all. All right, wish him the best of luck. We play him like every other SEC team, and we're going to both show up and spot the ball and play. So I talk to him on a regular basis, but no ill will at all, right? And really appreciative of how he treated me and my family. And then this created an unbelievable opportunity for me as well on top that I really wasn't looking for, but so appreciative to have.
It's not easy sometimes to take over as interim, no matter the situation. The head coach has either been fired or has taken another job. We're seeing that more and more in college football. You see that at times even in the NFL. I thought what he and the staff did was brilliant, Craig. In the run they made, Trinidad Chambliss, and they throwing the ball in the end zone to try to keep winning. I just thought it was a magical year.
No, it was one of the greatest years in Ole Miss history, and there's plenty of optimism to believe that they can do something similar, if not try and surpass that this year, because they were able to keep so many impactful players in the mix, which is when he also referred to Lane Kiffin during his time at the podium today and had an interesting anecdote. I don't know if you were going to get to that or not on the Google Lane Kiffin. Did you have that in the notes?
No.
He was asked about how he kept Kawan Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss and others who decided to stay. And he basically said, bring him in the office, tell him Google Lane Kiffin. And you see what everybody's saying about Lane Kiffin from the Ole Miss perspective when he decided to leave for LSU, and they're dogging him and they're trashing him and they hate him and he's the biggest villain in the world. And he basically told them, like, you can stay here and carve out your remaining legacy and have success and go out on a high note, be an Ole Miss legend, or you can, go chase the money or whatever. And then all these people who've been your fans will probably treat you much the same way. So that was kind of part of his messaging. And it obviously worked to retain a lot of those guys, but obviously also not everybody that you wanted to, because Kiffin did take some talent with him. But I think having the full year start to finish will be really interesting, because they were on a ride before he took over. I mean, they were still a really good team, very much in the place where they ended up when he took over. So I think it's a testament to him that they didn't fly off the rails because of the coaching disruption and all the background noise and all of the discussion about it. And in a town like that with a culture like that, that's what everybody's talking about. You can't avoid it, especially as nationally relevant as it was. So to be able to keep everybody focused enough to keep winning games and to position themselves to get in the playoff, it was a great run. And I'm really excited to see what it looks like now that it's officially his. I'll be really excited to see what that matchup looks like early on. That's going to be a hell of a contest, and I hope it turns out to be as great of a game as the hype leading into it will be. But
you're talking about the game with LSU, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
Just want to
playing Lane Kiffin. Yeah, I mean, that's the big game. So, it's a very interesting year coming up. A lot of reason to believe Chambliss or Lacey could be in the Heisman conversation, and they're one of those teams out of the SEC that has a great shot of maybe contending for the title, but certainly finding their way back to the playoffs. So, seems like an enjoyable guy. I don't agree with him on everything. He talked about tampering and all these other things as well, but he's an enjoyable guy to listen to.
Yeah, he doesn't back away from any of that. He didn't even back when Dabo Sweeney started talking about that story when Clemson lost a linebacker to Ole Miss. They opened with Louisville. Interesting. Louisville can be good. And then, of course, as you were alluding to, that third week they play LSU in Oxford. So that'll be a ton of fun, and their schedule's loaded up like a lot. As far as teams I've seen, like I'm going to tell you in a minute about what Auburn has in front of them, but not quite yet.
Well, I think before they even get to LSU, though, that Louisville game in week
That's what I
number
just
1
mentioned,
for Ole
yeah.
Miss is going to be, really something good. So that'll be a nice test. I don't think you actually meant – did you say this specifically?
I
Okay.
said before they have LSU week 3, but they open up against Louisville, and that could be a little bit dicey.
Sorry, I didn't hear you say that. I think that's a really good test right out of the gates that'll prepare them well for the conference schedule that starts soon after that.
Also, we'll have G.J. Kinney, by the way, head coach at Texas State, joins us today at 3:40. Trey Wallace of Outkick and Fox has been in Tampa throughout the last 3 days. He will join us today at just after 4 o'clock. And then we're going to get to that list, theathletic.com ranking every FBS quarterback and the tiers that they have, tiers 1 and 2, and where also Big 12 quarterbacks who were not on in tier 1 or tier 2 and where they ended up. Let's go to the Auburn schedule. Rez, let's skip over a couple of stories, and then we'll break here in a minute for G.J. Kinney. Justin Hockenson, and we got to know Auburn football. He's been on with us a few times to discuss the Tigers. And, of course, they're in a new coaching situation, too. Here is their schedule. I know they open up. There's other games. This is their schedule in October. At Tennessee, bye. At Georgia, LSU at home, at Ole Miss. Now, we don't know where these teams are going to be. I got a feeling all 3 of them are going to be ranked, a couple of them in the top 10, and then Tennessee somewhere in the top 20. Not sure where they'll end up, but that is a battering ram for Auburn and the SEC in the month of October.
It certainly is. I mean, they're lucky to have a bye week squeezed in there, because if that was the entire month, then that would be almost just absurd, almost worth complaining to the conference office of like, what are you trying to do to us here? But you do get the bye week, and you're definitely going to need it. That's pretty salty, and the computer not doing them any favors that puts together that schedule. So just bad luck of the draw there for them, but also an incredible opportunity for the Tigers to make a bunch of statements in the month of October. And I think they're a team that I'm not like super high on, that they're just going to get right into the mix with Alex Golesh right out of the gates. But I do think they're favored over Baylor to start off. Southern Miss should be a win. Florida, we'll see. Vandy, we'll see. But they got Florida and Vandy, and then Baylor non-con in Atlanta to start off the year. So who knows where they are when they even enter the month of October. They could be a pretty nice 4-0 with wins over a Big 12 team, and Florida and Vandy are 3-1 and at least a couple good wins in there. Or they could already be sluggish a little bit and then really be in poor shape heading into this stretch of the schedule. So that's going to be dangerous and highly interesting to see how they navigate that.
That's a battering ram. There's no doubt about it, with the four schools, in fact, 3 of them on the road in October. When we come back, we'll have G.J. Kinney, the head coach at Texas State. He has a quarterback that everybody around the country would want, but it's his. It's his quarterback in Brad Jackson. We'll talk about the Bobcats also moving into the Pac-12 in a pretty busy summer where they led up to the official countdown of joining the conference, and G.J. Kinney on recruiting and college football today. That's next. This is the Smoak Show on 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, lowt.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. When you get into your upper 30s, early 40s, there's just father time starts to take over many things in your body. You fight against it as much as you can. But one of them is your testosterone level inside your blood, and your T level can drop. And 1 out of every 3 to 4 men, it does. It's just fact. It's evidence. It is the trend. So maybe that's you. Your energy is not the same. Your sex drive is not the same. Maybe it is, but your performance is not the same. You just don't feel right. You're just kind of lagging around. It could be your T level. Contact Petty Clinic, lowt.com. Dr. Kent Petty and his staff will get back in touch with you, set you up for an appointment to get your blood work, take care of that appointment for you, get the results, and then get back in touch with you and let you know, no, you're pretty good. Everything's good, but let's maybe check on that again in a year. Or your T level is too low, and he can give you the option and a program for you to get into and start so you can become the high-performance man that you want to be. need to be, used to be at pettycliniclowt.com.
Texas weather calls for Ray Broker, your Lennox Premier dealer. Sign up for our year-round comfort plan and keep your home the perfect temperature no matter what the forecast is. Call or visit raybroker.com now. Ray Broker, your air conditioning and heating specialist.
Make this the summer event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get behind the wheel of an iconic new Dodge Charger RT and score $5,000 in savings. First responders and military members get an extra $500 bonus. Allen Samuels Dodge.
Come by, let's be friends.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
If you need legal advice on medical malpractice or personal injury, 18-wheeler accidents, or criminal, probate, and estate planning and transactional work, including private equity acquisitions, buying and selling businesses, and employment agreements, please contact David Dumas at the David Dumas Law Firm at daviddumaslawfirm.com. This 3 o'clock hour is brought to you by QC Kinetics. Feel better, move better, live better with regenerative medicine using your body's own healing abilities for natural pain relief. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. With locations in Dallas and Houston at QCkinetics.com. It's time for the Smoak Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoak and David Smoak.
And here we go, this 3 o'clock hour. And Texas State Bobcat football coach, and I consider a really good friend of mine. I've covered him for a long, long time. G.J. Kennedy, the head coach at Texas State in San Marcos. He joins us on the Smoak Show in 365 Sports. And G.J., great to have you on. I know it's been a crazy busy summer. What does entering the Pac-12 mean to the program at Texas State?
I think, we're just really excited about the opportunity. I got asked, at the head coaches panel, what, challenges, and I don't see any challenges. I think, you've talked to Kelly on here on the Smoak Show before. You know what he's all about. Don Coryell, the resources that we've poured into this thing. We're just excited. We're ready to get going. Camp's right around the corner. I think we got a great non-conference schedule, and then get right into that Pac-12 schedule going to San Diego State.
How weird is it, GJ, to be talking about the Pac-12? I mean, maybe you're used to it by now because there's been this buildup, but it still feels like a Mad Lib filling out Pac-12, Texas State, and some of the teams you'll be playing. It's a new world, but a very exciting time, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to it by now. Obviously, it was a little weird last year doing the Sun Belt stuff, going to the Pac-12. I think that was a little bit more strange than this go around. So, man, we're excited and ready to get going.
GJ, you were a hell of a player. There's no question. And you've also been a part of the NFL, and you've been a part of now college football as a coordinator, as a coach, as a head coach. What, in your opinion, has one or two things that you maybe didn't know, even though you played for your father, who was a hell of a football coach, about coaching it as being a head coach?
I think just coaching the coaches as much as you're coaching, your players. You're talking to them about, the standards and energy level and body language. I mean, sometimes you got to coach these coaches too. They're, sometimes they fall into the same deal. So we got a great group of guys, great staff, but I would say that by just coaching these coaches just as hard as you are your players.
What would you say is the theme of the offseason and kind of what your focus was, the goals, the things that you wanted to check off the list? What do you feel like you guys accomplished and kind of have as far as the mindset now leading into camp?
Yeah, I think, for us, we're always looking, for things offensively to tweak. I think we've done a good job of that and really identifying, where our strengths are. It's the first time, we've had a quarterback in consecutive years. So that was really, good for spring ball. I think the second portal window was huge for everybody, talking about building the culture and building that chemistry amongst your team. And then obviously we have a new defensive staff. So really getting on the same page with those guys, exactly how I want it to look and exactly, what our personnel is and how can we fit our personnel, in the scheme and make sure those things are marrying up to give us the best chance to go win a championship.
Was that a night and day feeling, being able to coach guys in spring and not have that lingering worry about, hey, this portal's still upcoming here in a few days?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think we changed the way we coached. I think it was just more, it was out of the players' minds. They're not thinking about it. It's one of those things where, if you got people pulling you in all these directions on what I should do, what's the best thing for you to do, and now it's like, hey, you got your own portal window. The spring's about, me developing as a player and learning a new scheme and building that chemistry with my teammates. It just wasn't in the back of their mind. So I think that was a positive. And I think for us, as coaches, just being able to do a little bit more with them as far as schematically in spring ball and being able to install more, because, it was always kind of over our head that, hey, we might install this red zone concept and this guy's going to be at our rival in a couple weeks.
You got a hell of a quarterback. You got a lot more than that, but Brad Jackson obviously has put up big numbers, has had a great career. Did you sit down with him at the end of last year, because the way things are with the portal and people want a quarterback and people would want Brad Jackson? Did you guys have that discussion even before the season ended?
Yeah, we did. We about halfway through the season, every week just kind of gauge that temperature and talk. And every week it was the same: Coach, I'm not going anywhere. I love it here. Not going anywhere. This is where I'm going to be. I think it was also huge to keep, Bo Sparks and Chris Don. I think anytime as a quarterback, having your two top weapons back, 2,000-yard receivers back, was huge for him. I think that solidified it down the stretch, because, just because you announce that you're coming back somewhere until that portal closes, people are still hitting you up. So, just super excited to have Brad back. I mean, he's an unbelievable person. He leads, the FCA. He's the leader of our team. He's a competitor. And he was a redshirt freshman last year. It's not like he was a junior or a sophomore. I mean, he was a redshirt freshman last year, almost had 40 touchdowns. And I thought the jump that he made in the spring was huge. Him being in the same consecutive offense for 3 years in a row, and to have some weapons, at his disposal and getting on that same page. I mean, he took a huge jump this spring, this summer, and I'm just excited to really watch him. It gives me a lot of confidence, going into the season, having someone like Brad.
GJ, how did he first come across your desk or your eyes? What was kind of the story of how this all started for you guys?
Yeah, very much like a lot of things. I'm scrolling through Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, and it was I think it was like the top passing yards, statistics, returning. So I always go through that list, and then I go through their Twitter and watch some of their throws that they have on their Twitter, and I really liked his motion. And so you go to Coach Leftwich at the time, and we're sitting there and we're evaluating all these quarterbacks, and we're watching them, and we're like, man, we really like his film. Hey, guess what? He can actually run a little bit too. And then you get to know the person. And then we had him at camp, and it really one throw. It was like an inside fade, and I mean he dropped a dime right in the back of the end zone, and me and Mac looked at each other like, yep, we just found our guy and solidified it. Now we gotta keep him on the down low before all these other guys come in and take him. But obviously we had him on the official visit, and then you start to learn how awesome of a person it is, how awesome his mom was, and so he was it was one of those deals. We knew what we had, and then he was an early enrollee, and then about a week after you get him, you're like, oh man, this guy's pretty fast. He's working hard. And then the first spring practice, I remember going like, yep, this is the future. I called Don, our AD, and said, yep, we got our quarterback of the future right here.
So he went to Reagan, and that's where Kellen Mond went. Reagan's had some pretty good pedigree, I guess, at that. And Mond eventually went to IMG, but that's a pretty good lineage at the quarterback position there.
Yeah. I mean, we got great talent, around San Marcos and the San Antonio area, Austin area, man. So we're always going to recruit this area like crazy, and we're glad we got Brad.
GJ Kinney with us, Texas State football coach on 365 Sports and the Smoke Show. Texas to open up, then your buddy Jeff Traylor, UTSA. I know you got to worry about the first one. UT, obviously, with Sarkisian, what he's done, but I know you well enough. You guys are going into that and preparing for that, and you want a piece of that. How do you make sure you don't play that game too early? I know it's early now, but you don't get too hyperventilated for that one?
Yeah, I think for us, we have so much to work, ourselves and in the fall camp process, training camp, and preparing for our season and getting ourselves right. And then obviously when the time comes, we'll prepare for every opponent the same, and obviously have a huge amount of respect for Coach Sark and the University of Texas. I mean, are you kidding me? They'll probably be number one in the country preseason, and rightfully so. Probably have the number one and number 2 draft pick, back to back with Arch and Colin Simmons. So I mean, they're everything that they people say they are. And we'll be excited to go face those guys going to Austin right down the road, and that's another super positive for us. I mean, we don't leave 35. I mean, we're right down the road to Austin, and then we're UTSA at home, North Texas at home, UIW at home. So we're excited, and I like playing all the Texas schools. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Getting to play all these teams, and we recruit against these teams, UTSA and North Texas, and we get to go play them.
How much does playing really quality teams at the beginning actually help a team moving forward the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think as long as you can stay healthy in those games, I think it's huge. I think getting to play someone like Texas, kind of see where you're at, and then obviously we know what UTSA is about, and everything that comes with that rivalry and the respect that we have for those guys, and just glad we have them at home. We don't have to go to that dome again.
Yeah. GJ, how do you feel about the running back spot? You lose Lincoln Pear, who's off to the pros, and he was super productive for you guys. You mentioned at receiver, you bring your big studs back, but I know Brad Jackson can run a little bit as well. Just how do you feel about the rest of that group?
Yeah, really like that group. I really do. And I think Torrance Burgess coming back was huge. He was playing some of his best football before he got hurt a year ago. Jalen Jenkins, Taji Atkins, Cole Pryor, another Reagan guy, JT Harris, a freshman that we signed, and we signed Davion Jackson. He goes by Diamond. He was a Mississippi State transfer. He played receiver in high school and played some running back in high school as well. And he's 6'1", 200 pounds, and was a 10-4 guy. So I think the biggest thing in that room is the speed that we have. With the ability that Brad has, and what Bo and Chris can do on the outside, and we'll probably get some light box. And so we really went into this thing, with speed on our mind, and those guys can make the safety miss. It can be a long day for a defense. So really like that group, really like the way they've worked, and it'll be the fastest group we've had for sure. They're not the biggest, and we know that, but they're by far the fastest group we have on the team probably. So we're really excited about them.
Texas State football coach GJ Kinney. I think the audio wobbled there a little bit. Hopefully we'll be able to get that okay between now and answering this question. You mentioned you like playing all the Texas teams. I love it too. There was that little stretch when Texas and Sark and Joey and Tech were kind of going at it a little bit, and Texas State was brought up in. Abilene Christian was brought up in that. Did you ever get involved in any of that at all? Was any of that even on your radar?
Yeah, I know, Smoak. I know you well enough. I knew you were going to ask me this question. What I'm going to say is I'm not going to make any headlines in the summertime for sure, and definitely not right before we play the University of Texas and Steve Sarkisian. So what I'll say is got a ton of respect for Texas, have a ton of respect for Coach McGuire and Texas Tech, and I have a ton of respect for KP, Keith Patterson, my old DC at Abilene Christian. So, we play who is on the schedule. That's what I'd say.
Hey, GJ, I know you're not going to probably have time for this. Let me stop for a second. I'm going to have my producer call you because audio, we can't hear your audio. Okay. It went wobbly, if that's okay. And so I'm giving him your number right now. Garrett, or Rez, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and come back to the screen with Craig and me on the set, and let's see if we can get GJ by audio through his cell phone and get a couple of those answers for the audience that you are watching this show. Later on in the next hour, in fact, Trey Wallace from Outkick and Fox will join us here on 365 Sports. One thing about GJ Kitty is he wins. He wins, period. That's what he does. And also was a part of a great run in high school at Canton, Gilmer, and elsewhere. Do we have him on the cell phone? Okay. I'm not sure what we have. Got him? All right.
Seems like
we're talk on me.
We got him? Okay, here you go, GJ. Yeah, just talk on the phone. You can hang up the sorry about that on the video. GJ, I was asking you, okay, we got two different audios, Rez. Try to cut one of them off. GJ, I was asking you about all that was going on, and you knew I was going to ask you about it because I have to. But
you want me to hang up on the screen?
Yeah, hang up on the screen because we're getting double audio. This is live radio, live podcast, TV, whatever.
You got me?
Oh, got you now, buddy. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, sir.
How much of that did you get involved, or how much were you like kind of watching that happen with UT Tech, Joey, and Sark?
Yeah. Like I said, I knew you were going to ask me that. You know what I'd say is I'm not going to make any headlines in the summer. I promise you that. I have a ton of respect for Sark and University of Texas and Joey and Texas Tech and my old DC KP Keith Patterson at Abilene Christian and I know we're excited to play Texas, and we're excited about every team on the schedule. So I didn't really get involved with it. I was actually on vacation when all that was going on, and my phone was blowing up, and I just kind of looked at it and enjoyed all the Twitter wars going on.
GJ, how much fun do you have watching your son playing 7-on-7 right now? I heard that your father told me that.
Man.
Tell me about what that's like, the memories.
Yeah, that's so fun for me. We got practice tonight, and it's a little hot, so we're gonna get in and out. But man, it's just so fun just to go out there and coach those guys and coach the other kids on the team, and I love it. I don't care if I'm coaching, college, NFL, or 7U flag football, man. It's fun and teaching those guys to play the game the right way. And my son's a great player and he's tough. I will say this, Mo, he's definitely Gary Joe linebacker, running back. I'm not sure the quarterback's in his future. He's linebacker all the way, but man, he's having fun and he's going to be a really good player.
When did you ever the first time see your father on film for what kind of player he was at Baylor? What was that like?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I was growing up, my grandparents went to all the games, and I had I think he was playing Kansas. I remember popping on a recorded VHS. We pop it in there, and I think he was the Southwest Conference defensive player of the week, or something like that after a pick, or maybe a pick six versus Kansas. You might be able to look at it, whatever that was. But I remember watching that game and getting to see him play. And obviously you see the stats and the tackles and, all that kind of stuff. But, just getting to see that film, I remember watching that as a kid and thinking how special that was.
Hey, man, last question. When you mentioned what you saw with Brad Jackson, then you saw him throw that interior, I think you said fade.
Yeah.
Do you just know the it factor when you watch a quarterback?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of those things that's made me, so successful in this business. And you got to have a quarterback, and no matter that's a 7U flag or that's college or that's NFL, and being able to identify these quarterbacks, and then once you get them, be able to develop them. I think that's really my superpower. And with Brad, it didn't take very long at all. There's just so many things that go into it. But I think for me too, like not only my playing, ability and all that, but the people that I was around, and I got to see Michael Michael Vick and Nick Foles and Sam Bradford and Matt Barkley and Dennis Dixon and Eli Manning and all these guys that you get to see practice, every day, and all those guys in the meeting room, Tim Tebow. You're sitting there and they're all a little bit different, but they all have, some very similar, qualities about them as well. So I think there's not just one, cookie cutter way of playing quarterback, but I think just knowing what it takes to be successful and I think that's kind of what's made us go the last couple of years.
Hey, man, great to see you. Great to have you on, GJ. Thanks for being patient with what we had to do to flip the phone.
Oh, for sure.
Good luck. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your week and rest of your summer until everything really gets started here in just a couple of weeks.
Man, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Maybe we can hop back on, before the season sometime.
Let's do it. GJ Kinney.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Head football coach at Texas State. For some of you that maybe have not heard this story before, he was at Canton High School. Jeff Traylor was the head coach at Gilmer High School, which is not that far away. And they met in a playoff game in Tyler at what is Rose Stadium. And Canton was the underdog. But you could see Gary Joe, the head coach at Canton, and the Eagles. They were really explosive and beat Gilmer like 50-48, whatever the score might have been. And it was, of all the games I've done, one of the better ones that I've seen. And now Jeff, of course, GJ eventually played for Jeff Traylor at Gilmer, and they are great friends even now as coaches at UTSA and also at Texas State. When we come back, we will have Trey Wallace, Fox and Outkick. He's been in Tampa, SEC Media Days. That is next, and this is 365 Sports. It is the new IRA. Have you heard about it? The new IRA, the Insured Retirement Advantage, strategy for younger, high-income earners and small business owners who are trying to get serious about retirement. Right now, you're in your peak earning years. Right now, you are making great money. But are you being smart about the future? Not just with maybe some sort of investment or even some kind of a 401k. The IRA, the new IRA, this is what it can do for you. Build a tax-free income stream for retirement. It can also protect your family's legacy and keep your capital working efficiently. If you don't need that right now, well, you always need more money for later on. You never know what can happen. And the new IRA, the Insured Retirement Advantage, is available at North Star Funding. North Star Funding with the numbers on the screen, 623-256-6902, or you can go to their website, northstarfundingpartners.com. Make sure you tell them that we sent you from 365 Sports and the Smoke Show. You don't have to have ultra-high net worth status to qualify. You can make some pretty good money, but now you want to save that money with the new IRA with northstarfundingpartners.com.
Starts here.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221. Us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agents all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Celebrate American value and American quality during the Red, White, and Blue sales event at Richer Car. You want a Richer Car GMC? Get your Sierra now and save $13,000 or more on every truck in stock with trade-in. Save $14,000 on a 2026 GMC Sierra SLE Crew Cab. Or save $13,500 on a 2026 GMC Sierra Pro, now under $29,000. Drive American quality and get American savings during the Red, White, and Blue sales event at Richer Car.
Richard Car, they have the truck for you.
Marco's only uses premium toppings, which means your pizza isn't just flavorful, it's mushroom-full, or sausage-full, or pepperoni-full. And you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas from the place named America's favorite pizza chain starting at $8.99 every day, only at Marco's.
This 4 o'clock hour is brought to you by Stonewood Dental, your one-stop shop for your dental needs, specializing in teeth cleaning, fillings, crowns, sealants, root canals, IV sedation, extractions, implants, bridges, dentures, full mouth restorations, and bioaesthetic dentistry. Our priority is your comfort from the moment you walk through the front door. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. It's time for the Smoak Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoak and David Smoak.
We'll have Trey Wallace here momentarily from Outkick and also from Fox. Cheyenne and Rez, if you wouldn't mind, put up it's from Stefan Krajisnik on the Big Ten non-conference schedules, at least games that are being played this year. Let me know when you get that up, and then we'll have that, and we'll have Trey Wallace here from Tampa here momentarily. So there's been a lot of discussion about from what Eli Drinkwitz alluded to and eventually said that he was not talking so much about Indiana because they were really a good football team. Been a lot of maybe people getting checked. Here is the Big Ten non-conference games. There are the Power Four non-conference games that are being played by teams from the Big Ten. And, of course, one of the highlights is Ohio State at Texas. Another one is Oregon at Oklahoma State. Now, Oregon's going to be a heavy favorite. We know what they did last year. It was a absolute boat race. Michigan, Oklahoma, Iowa, Iowa State, Illinois, Duke, Minnesota, Mississippi State, Colorado and Northwestern, UCLA and Cal. Also, it's Rutgers and Boston College, Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Maryland, Virginia Tech, 2 more games, Michigan State at Notre Dame, and then also Purdue against Wake Forest. And there's another team in the Big Ten that will play Notre Dame. So there are some games that are high-level games, but there are also a lot more teams in the Big Ten who are not playing people in the Power Four in their non-conference schedule.
So, yeah, what are you saying here? Like, just as far as the argument doesn't hold water, or what are you asking? I
was just playing a list of games of the Big Ten and some non-conference games. There are a few more, but that's it. There's not like another 10 or 12. These are the teams that are playing non-conference games against P4, and some of them are bangers. And then some of them might get a little bit lopsided, and some of them are like snooze fest. I don't know. But there are some games that they do play against the Power Four.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that they were playing those games.
But you don't see Indiana on that list, though. That's one of the things.
No, you don't. And they deserve to have some criticism for not having a better non-conference schedule. And I think the longer that goes on, that they will get that criticism, as the national champions should be playing somebody pretty spectacular or name-worthy in the preseason part of the schedule, or the non-conference part of the schedule. So, the Big Ten doesn't have that mandate like other conferences do. I think there should probably be a bit more pressure applied as far as that being the case, because if we're going to demand and clamor for the SEC to have the same number of conference games as everybody else, and for the ACC to also play the same number of conference games as everybody else, I just think everything should be uniform. So, yeah, if you're playing the same number of conference games, then you can have the argument that the SECs or the Big Tens are tougher, but at least you're all playing the same amount, so you're not comparing 8 to 9. But I think you should also have it uniform across the board that, yeah, every conference designates that you have to have at least one Power 4 non-conference opponent. But, yeah, there are some good games. I mean, Ohio State's never afraid to play anybody. I sure as hell hope Oregon and Oklahoma State is better than it was last year, because that was just one of the worst bloodbaths that you'll ever see. And obviously it was a great factor in just finishing off Mike Gundy. Michigan OU ought to be a lot of fun. Iowa State's always a lot of fun. And there's some other intriguing games here as well. I mean, I'm not super excited about every matchup on this list, but the majority of the conference is playing somebody. So, Indiana should absolutely be forced to be on this list from here on out. And I actually brought them up like not too long ago. And I know that the schedules change. People drop out. We've seen that recently. LSU dropping the Arizona State game. But when you look at them moving forward, it's North Texas, Howard, and Western Kentucky this year. It's Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and UMass next year. It's Austin Peay, Eastern Michigan, and Miami of Ohio in 2028. It's Ball State, Eastern Illinois, and Western Kentucky in 2029. And then it's finally in 2030 and 2031, Notre Dame away and then home. And you pair Notre Dame with Indiana State and Delaware there in 2030. So the next 3 years, counting this year, 4 years of the Indiana, the defending national champion schedule is completely devoid of really any team with a pulse whatsoever. And I remember the pressure that was applied to Baylor when they were suddenly racking up wins, and people were like, why aren't y'all playing anybody? And they eventually turned that, and they changed that. But I think the same kind of a pressure should be applied to Indiana. Like, y'all can buy out Austin Peay and go schedule somebody else, or at least I hope they're attempting to do so. And if they can't, they can't. But I would like to see proof in the pudding that they are actually attempting to do that, because they're not Indiana just trying to make a bowl game anymore. And again, it's not just about them. It's just that they're an obvious example of a team that does not need to be playing that level of a non-con for the next 4 years.
No,
so there should be a mandate across the board. Everybody plays 9 conference games. Everybody plays at least one Power 4 team. Everybody just has the same sort of uniform. So even if, yes, your conference is better or your non-con opponent is better, you're still comparing the same numbers across the board. I would like to see that, but I know that, things take time to change, I suppose. But I do think Indiana is just an obvious example of, you've outplayed your schedule. Props and kudos to you, and now you need to find a way to adjust that to be more towards what people expect of your program now.
And it's also better if Power 4 schools that have future games don't cancel those games, which we're seeing that, right. Of course. We even mentioned yesterday Arizona State, LSU is being canceled. And I don't know about there's been a couple of others. By the way, that Oregon and Oklahoma State game, Wet Blanket, who's a huge Cowboys fan, it's like my God, they ought to forfeit that now. Well, that'll be a nice, like, off the top with Eric Morris and see what they can do. Oregon's going to be a huge favorite. They're really, really good. But they are going to play that game, and so that's one of them that we have on this list.
Who the hell knows? I mean, maybe Eric Morris just sets the world on fire. I highly doubt that this early on, but I think that there's a much better shot of that happening this year than there was last year. So, yeah, I think that's an extremely tough game for him early in his tenure, but it will be a great measuring stick. It's like we were just talking to GJ about with playing Texas right out of the gates of, most people don't expect you to win that game. A lot of people probably expect it to be a blowout, but, hey, go out there and do your damnedest and try to make it as competitive as possible and improve your team as much as you possibly can. And I think Oklahoma State, unlike last year where they were not better for having played Oregon, that was just a game needed to go ahead and give them the final blow in the Gundy decision, basically. But I do think that this Oklahoma State team should be better off for having played Oregon, and it absolutely should be a more competitive game. I don't care how quickly Eric Morris is having to adjust to coaching this team. Last year was so awful that it's hard to imagine even in his very early tenure that it will be as bad as what we saw against the Ducks a year ago.
Trey Wallace, it appears, is caught up with a couple more things at SEC Media Days. Most likely not going to be a part of our show today, but we got plenty to get to. Let's do this. Yesterday evening as I got home and I started to kind of put things together again for us tomorrow or today, There was this story, SEC Media Days. I don't know if you saw this or not, Craig, but the legend who is a caller in the SEC country, who calls the Paul Feinbaum show and goes off. He was kicked out of Media Days. He is threatening legal action. He likes attention, and I'm giving it to him here, but that was one of the stories that came down yesterday evening.
Yeah, this is the difference between you and I. I would not be giving him attention, but I did see this. I'm not a caller fan of when I listen to shows. I was back in the day when it was much more common, but I'm not anymore because I just haven't vibed with it for a really long time now. But there was a time like 15 years ago when he was still in his prime where I loved listening to Howard Stern on Sirius. Like, I loved it. I'd listen to replays. I just absolutely loved it. Some of it does not age very well, like a lot of things from the 90s, early 2000s, but absolutely loved it as a younger guy. And then, yeah, it's changed in the last few years where it's just not the same. But my least favorite part was when the Whack Pack would start calling in. And I was like, no, I just want to hear the guys talk. So I've never been a big Feinbaum guy, for one, because I know he's trolling half the time, and I just don't enjoy that from him. But I also just don't love the callers all the time. But you know what? That's why he's popular, the callers. That's why he is. I mean, he'd probably still be pretty successful, but like the Whack Pack with Howard Stern, they are like the college football version of that, and they have definitely been a big part of the DNA of that show. So, yeah, they had that whole documentary of the Auburn incident with what was that? Toomer's Corner. Feinbaum was a part of that, really kind of put him even more on the map. And so the history of his kind of crazy fans is out there. I don't know how crazy this is, but yeah, it was making the rounds, and I don't know much about this guy. So I'm just surprised they typically had fans welcome at events. They used to have them like slapping hands and getting autographs when they were at the hotel in Hoover, I felt like. I saw that years ago, but I guess it's a different setup now in Tampa and less fan-friendly, I suppose. Don't know.
Yeah, it is the Super Bowl, whereas radio, now Media Row, there was a time when they allowed fans to come walking through that area, and it was a little bit much. Like, I could see what they were trying to do to show off more of what's going on. And a lot of the fans wanted to see whoever they watch or whoever they listen to. On the callers, I'm good with that. I'm good with taking callers. I always have liked that. But what's happened now is that callers now and their personality seem like they're taking over the show.
On Feinbaum?
No, I'm talking about just in general now.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think there is certain places where it works. I just don't particularly enjoy it because I'm just not, I guess, a big enough SEC fan for it to be like the most fun thing in the world to me. But to each their own. I'm not knocking it. It's not for me. I like chocolate and vanilla. I don't like mint chocolate chip, right? So to each their own as far as preferences go. But I mean, in reading about this, because again, this is not something I would have talked about or given attention to, but since we are, apparently he was at the Tampa Marriott and let's see, he was denied an event credential. So he would have known that ahead of time and was removed by staff and security while conducting interviews in an open hotel area. So it sounds like he was denied. He was doing his thing anyways. And they said, you're not supposed to be here. So that's kind of clear cut. And I don't really feel too bad for him. I mean, props to trying to find a workaround, but if you weren't given a credential, you weren't given a credential. If we were at Radio Row and there was dudes outside of the area trying to conduct interviews as though they were media members when they weren't credentialed, the NFL would have a massive problem with that.
No, he would be taken out. Security, he'd never get in. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. So he did what he wanted to do, and by us adding him along with others who were reporting it, that he got the attention that he wanted, and he also. You know, a lot of people, oh, man, the SEC hates fans or whatever. No, they don't. They love fans. The fans make football quality and all of that. But it's the atmosphere of any conference, the SEC, of course, at the very top when it comes to the atmosphere of college football and the passion. But sometimes it can get a little bit crazy. So there we are with that. I'm not sure what else goes from there. Now, Georgia running back. They have had, of course, a lot of issues with players that have been speeding. Some of them one tragic wreck a few years back. But Dante Dowdell, who's a transfer from Kentucky, really good player. He was at Nebraska prior to Kentucky. He was a pretty good player. Involved in an ATV accident, was treated, serious injuries at Atlanta Hospital. Kirby Smart confirmed that story when he was there yesterday in Tampa. And man, that's a blow, first of all, for his life and also for him physically, and wish him the best recovery. Last year had 560 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns at Kentucky. Started at Oregon, went to Nebraska, then Kentucky, and now was supposed to be playing at Georgia.
Well, lucky for him, it wasn't more serious. And those ATV incidents can be really scary and definitely something that could cost you your life. They fall on top of you. My sister had a close call years and years back when she was younger, her and a friend riding on an ATV. Know people who got severely injured riding ATVs. Have read stories about people dying because the ATV rolls over on them, and not sure obviously exactly what happened here, but yeah, those are fun instruments, but they're also potentially really dangerous. So you got to be careful when on them. And even then you might still hit a pothole or whatever the case, whatever it was here. Glad that he's okay in the long run, and that there are, nothing that there's nothing that's going to cost him his life. But yeah, serious injuries. I don't know what that means, but obviously he's dealing with a little bit of a tough streak right now. So good luck to Dante Dowdell on getting healthy and getting better. And I'm sure football is the last thing in mind, and when he'll be available and all those types of things, because yeah, this is much bigger than just playing football. So glad that he's okay for the most part, and hope he heals up quickly.
Kirby Smart saying yesterday he's injured. We don't know when his return will be. I don't know the specifics, although he was at Shepherd Center in Atlanta, specializes in treatment and rehabilitation, including spinal cord and brain injuries. So that's a Georgia running back who that doesn't sound very promising.
That sounds scary, yeah. Very scary. And I hadn't seen the details on that, but those mentions are, serious injuries could be any number of things. But that's when you start talking about those types of possibilities. That's scary stuff right there.
All right. Another note, the largest or the biggest largest cocktail party, Craig, in college football. It's always been a great tradition to play the Georgia and Florida game. I said that the other day, and somebody goes, it's the Florida-Georgia game. It's like Texas OU. They play in Jacksonville, but Jacksonville Stadium is going through a massive renovation, a $1.4 billion facelift. And so they will play, and of course they play a lot of college football games, Craig, at Georgia this year, and then next year they'll be in Tampa at RJ Stadium where the Buccaneers play.
The world's largest outdoor cocktail party is one of the coolest names for a game, and I love that. It's just very unique and very fitting for Florida, Georgia, Florida, however you refer to it as. But I feel like this has been out there, maybe not, because there's been a lot of other neutral site games that have been affected by construction. And I think even this game's been affected previously, if I'm recalling correctly. But it's not like you're losing a game in Athens and losing a game in Gainesville. You're neutral siting it anyways. Obviously, there's a lot of history just in that area in general, where I'm sure it'll be just fine traveling up to Atlanta and then going over to Tampa. But I guess they'll just have a better atmosphere when they return in a couple of seasons. But neutral site, even though there's a little bit of a history here, none of these programs strangers to those other areas. So I'm sure they'll be fine in accommodating that game the next couple of seasons. And Atlanta, just a beacon for college football in the South. It just attracts so many games. And so here's another one that they'll get, this year, obviously already scheduled in. So I feel like this has been out there, but this is one of those neutral site games I actually don't mind. I mean, it would be cool to see Georgia and Florida playing at each other, but I do feel like there's like more reasoning behind it than just like corporate money grab, where we're creating this new thing just
like
simply
Texas
to
OU for them. I mean,
it's like Texas OU.
Yeah. And they play in Dallas, and they always play in Dallas, and they don't play in Norman. They don't play in Austin. I know there's been discussion about that at times, or where it's played or when it's played, but it's around the state fair. But that game's always been in Jacksonville for the most part. And then the next couple of years, they're not going to play on campus. They'll play in Atlanta and then in Tampa. So they'll still be right there in that Georgia and Florida corridor. Now, by the way, that stadium, have you heard about this? They are calling it the Stadium of the Future, a massive open-air roof canopy that will protect fans from the Florida heat, featuring a 360-degree concourse, and they'll only have 42,000 with attendance this year because the upper deck is completely being redone. It will not be open again until August of 2028, but a $1.4 billion construction. Jacksonville needed this. The Jaguars needed this. And it's called, again, what is it? Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville. So a little note about that.
Now, Jacksonville hosted a Super Bowl years and years ago, and I think this will probably get them another one doing the stadium upgrades. So, yeah, this will be better for the long run. It is what's the right word for this? I mean, it's a little bittersweet because there is so much history in Jacksonville, but it's not the first time they've had to move. They did play home and home back in the 90s. I don't really remember that, wasn't paying specific attention back at that time. But, yeah, I mean, it'll still be as heated as ever. It'll still be a big old party. It'll still be great SEC, action, and it'll still be a game worth watching. So, yeah, just really more curious about how good Florida is this year and how much of a fight they're going to put up, because we fully expect Georgia's going to be geared up and ready to go and possibly win a national title. So where exactly is Florida in this start of a new era? That will be one of the many measuring sticks on their schedule. But, yeah, Jacksonville's got a great history with this game, but it'll just have a better atmosphere when they come back in a couple of years.
Did you hear what happened a few weeks back? I'm going to show you a couple more stadium stories as we'll clump them together with what happened with Houston at TD-ECU Stadium, where they had an event and it tore up the turf and kind of beat that up, and they couldn't do a lot of the events at the stadium. Here is a picture, Craig, of the renovation as it continues at TD-ECU. Joseph Duarte, Houston Chronicle, putting up the picture. There it is. You can still see where there's some work to be done when it comes to the turf, but they're getting better and closer after that event tore up their turf.
I mean, good for them. I'd hope that they were getting close, because we're getting close to the season. So, yeah, they've got to fix up all the damage done, which you can still see is kind of lingering there as an Easter service that damaged the stadium, hosted by a Baptist church. And it's believed the damage was caused by a crane company that was hired to put the stage up for that event. So I highly doubt that U of H was privy to what was going to happen when they rented out the stadium for that event. And I'm sure that crane company will either be replaced or be all the wiser for what all they did wrong in putting this event together. But yeah, it definitely cost them some time and some money, and I just hope it's all, and I'm sure it will be all ready to go by the time they get into the main swing of things. But yeah, there's clearly still some work to do there.
All right. And then there's this story. Northwestern, of course, building a brand new stadium. We saw what they wanted to do, and they're going to open it up in, I think it's October. Look at this Ryan Field video. They got work to do. They're going to open up when they host Penn State on October the 2nd. The stadium, to me, looks fantastic. It's not going to be some big, huge stadium. It's right there off the lake. And do we have the video of Ryan Field, Northwestern? And here it is. Pretty big. Got a nice chunk of construction there that they're now just kind of now putting things together to close it out. Beautiful stadium.
Yeah, it's a lot of purple, as you would expect with Northwestern. That looks really cool, though. I mean, all the mock-ups I've seen of it looks great. It's going to be a really cool place to go and visit, I think, for traveling fans, and certainly spruce up that Northwestern trip that might not have been as much interest maybe prior as now. Like, hey, we got to go check out that new stadium on the water. That's going to be badass and looks great, looks fresh and brand new. Definitely looks like Northwestern Stadium with all that purple. So, yeah, I think that's a major upgrade for the Wildcats and the rest of the Big Ten to have their annual trips over there. So, yeah, I think that's awesome. That's looking great, and can't wait to see it on TV and how it works in practice.
Do you call it the Florida-Georgia or Georgia-Florida, or do you care?
I don't care. I don't think I've ever given it thought on how I pronounce
All right.
it. Yeah.
How do you do the game?
It's
in
Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, here's my cop out. It's alphabetical.
Okay.
And if I felt the need to have a cop out, there's a simple explanation. It's alphabetical. It goes O and then T. As a guy who is an Oklahoma fan, yeah, it's Oklahoma, Texas.
Yeah, I get that. So I don't. Here's Fatal Gator said something. It's Florida, Georgia. But then I went to Google, and I just Googled the game, and it's half of it's Florida, Georgia, half of it's Georgia, Florida. But like, for example, for me, I've always called it Texas OU because it just seems to be easier for me to say it. It's smoother for me to say it that way. But of course, it's Oklahoma, Texas for so many others, especially Sooners fans.
Well, it sounds like it's just to the eye of the beholder, or whatever you want to call it, is still the same thing. But yeah, for Florida fans, it's Florida, Georgia. For Georgia fans, it's Georgia, Florida. For Oklahoma fans, it's OU, Texas. For Texas fans, it's Texas, OU. So yeah, it depends on what fandom you are. And then I think the rest of the people out there probably don't give it much thought to begin with. But if we're doing the alphabetical practice like I do with Oklahoma, even though I would name them first anyways, then Florida is before Georgia. The band's also Florida, Georgia line. So I think that's probably in people's heads when they think about that at times nowadays as well. So yeah, I don't think I've ever sat down and gone, do I say Georgia, Florida, or Florida, Georgia? But I'm probably far more apt to say Florida, Georgia, based on Florida, Georgia line, just hearing that over the years, and then also the alphabetical principle as well, with no dog in the fight. So, yeah, give me Florida, Georgia.
Yeah, I think it is. Depends on who you're a fan, but then alphabetically you could do that as well. So there we are with a couple of 3 stories about stadiums, from the largest cocktail party venue change, Houston trying to get their stadium fixed up as they start fall camp the first week in August, and then Northwestern's Ryan Field, which does look like it will be beautiful.
No, that Northwestern Stadium looks like it's going to be freaking A1. I mean, it looks like it's going to be, again, a place where you might not have gone to the Northwestern road trip before, and now you will, because you just want to see that stadium one time. So, I think that's going to be great, and a real major upgrade for that program, and a real boost in the eyes of recruits and all of that. So, yeah, excited to see, again, what that looks like on TV and how the atmosphere lines up. But, yeah, it's cool to talk about some of the stadium stuff because while it's not necessarily the biggest deal in the world that the UH needs to fix its grass because of some church event, it is part of like the minutia that is of interest to diehard college football fans like us. So, yeah, it's all sorts of different pots of interest, and when it comes to that one, it's not the most talked about or something that we dig into a lot. But as we get closer to the season, there's a lot of notable things. Like Houston's got some screwed up turf right now. Northwestern's got a brand new stadium. Neutral site games are being played here and there, including one that's spent nearly 100 years in Jacksonville that for one of the rare occasions is not going to be in Jacksonville. But the reason why is because the NFL team's upgrading their stadium. So, yeah, it's cool to kind of explore some of that.
It is. And, there's just constant change. That's what makes what A&M did at Kyle Field ridiculous. They tore it down. They played that fall. That's just, because of all the engineers you have at Texas A&M University and College Station. They tore it down and built it right back up like it was a Lego piece or something like that, or a million gazillion pieces of Lego. We're going to take a break right here. I'm going to still work on Trey Wallace. He got an interview with a coach that you didn't expect. Not sure if we'll have him. No matter what, we've got plenty to get to, including the quarterback tiers that I sent to you.
I didn't really feel the need to study it so much as, I looked over it, and there's some interesting things on there. I mean, it's definitely rankings season when it comes to everything under the sun. I've seen every position top 10, every team league top 10, top 12, 14, 16, whatever. So, yeah, it's definitely the time to be swimming through all those different things. And so this one on the quarterbacks was interesting to see just how specifically The Athletic kind of organized them into tiers, and to see which league gets kind of their fair share or maybe not, and which leagues have the best batch of quarterbacks on paper as we enter this 2026 season.
Yeah, we're going to come back with that. The tiers 1 and 2, and then there are Big 12 quarterbacks not in either tier 1 or 2. We'll list where they are according to Sam Kahn and Antonio Morales of theathletic.com on ranking all 130 plus quarterbacks. We're not going to go through all of them, but we're going to give you the tiers 1 and 2, and also their definition of tier 1 and 2, and also the Big 12 quarterbacks. This, you got something else? Is 365 Sports and the Smoak Show. So let's discuss pain. Let's discuss, are you fighting pain every day? And is it pain that's annoying? Is it pain that hurts? Is it pain that changes your day? QC Kinetics. Please listen to the story about what they can do. They can take what is inside of your body, your natural biologics with plasma, platelets in your blood, taking stem cells from inside your body and using it to put back inside your body, and you can heal. I don't know about you, but I'm sure everybody, depending on your age, you've had some sort of arthritis. Maybe if you're a little bit older, maybe if you're not. You've had a pain that just won't go away, like I did with my right hip. And I'd had steroid injections. And then I met free consultation with QC Kinetics up in Dallas. They have multiple locations in Dallas and Houston. We'll get to that in just a moment. Hips, knees, shoulders, and back. For me, it was my hip. Part of it was my back. After a consultation with QC Kinetics, I said, I'm going to drive back home, think about it, and get back in touch with you. And about halfway there, turned around in Waxahachie and drove back to QC Kinetics off I-75 or Highway 75 in Dallas and had my first treatment. I haven't had one in a long time. I haven't needed one in a long time. Woke up this morning, ran 4 miles. I'm going to play golf on a trip in Utah. Cannot wait because I feel so good. Treatments done right there in the office at QC Kinetics. No surgery, no long recovery, no putting your life on hold, just real relief from annoying, nagging, and sometimes just pure pain. The inflammation eases. The pain is gone. It is gone. And that's what I've been able to experience since the first time I met with them and saw them and had treatment from QC Kinetics in Dallas back in September. Stop being the guy or girl that kicks something down the road. If you hear chatter about a procedure or surgery cutting on you, before you do that, contact QC Kinetics. Again, they have helped me out. I cannot explain how much better. I've discussed how I jog now, 1, 2, 3, 4 miles, 4 miles this morning. But even then, just my overall life, waking up and getting through the day without the aches and pains. If I have any kind of aches, it's because I've worked out, which I couldn't do for the longest time, nearly 5 years. It can hurt. It can bother you. It could be something that just wears you down. Days are long. The light at the end of the tunnel with QC Kinetics. Just the numbers in Dallas, 972-972-8610, 713-913-5285. Be someone that gets better, feels better without the pain at QCkinetics.com.
Management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide. Affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard.
Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics. Whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
At Tarleton State University, we believe your education should fit your journey. Whether you're starting college or advancing your career, Tarleton State opens the door to what's next. A student-focused education is never far away. Don't change your life to earn a degree. Earn a degree to change your life. Because wherever life takes you, Tarleton State goes with you. Become a Texan today. Visit tarleton.edu.
From the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio. Now, it's time for the Smoke Show. Presented by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider.
Too, as I call it, and then John Proctor, who opened up the doors of Home Place Interiors 20 plus years ago, is there with his expertise and knowledge. Everything you need to dress up wherever you live, whatever you need when it comes to your condo, apartment. If you're allowed to change things up in your apartment, you're allowed to have your own rugs there. And then, of course, where you live at home, too. All right, so yesterday we had Jamie Pollard, Iowa State Director of Athletics, on this show. I heard from a lot of media at Iowa State, got a note from Travis Hines and others. But here's also one of the stories that got a lot of play on the ballot for the best coaches in the Big 12. And his coach, Jimmy Rogers, and Jamie Pollard giving us this inside information when he talked to Jimmy after he got back from Big 12 media days.
A member of the media did a coaches poll. They asked each of the 16 Big 12 coaches, who's going to be in the championship game? And they got to Jimmy last. And when they asked Jimmy, his question was, how many coaches picked themselves? And the interviewer said only 2. And his response was, do you find that fascinating that 13 Big 12 football coaches already don't think they're good enough to be in the championship game?
Whoa, yeah.
He said, put Iowa State down for being in the championship game. He said, because I'm not going to stand in front of my team and tell them I believe in doing something if I didn't even vote for us. He said they're smart enough that they'll go, Coach, Iowa State didn't have any votes. Did you not vote for us? And I said to him, well, you could just say you couldn't vote for yourself. And he goes, Jamie, they're smart. They'll go, Coach, there's 16 votes and we've got 0. So he said, I'm voting for Iowa State because if I'm going to stand in front of my team, I'm going to make dang sure that they know I believe in them.
And I saw where a lot of media that posted the interview, which is great. We appreciate that. But there were also Iowa State football fans, Craig, who said, inject all of that into my veins. What concrete brick wall can I run through right now because of just that particular story? Because they don't really know a lot about Jimmy Rogers, and a lot of people don't, but they loved that particular story.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a really smart play on his part. I wouldn't have thought about it that way. I definitely noticed that Iowa State got a vote, and I definitely said at Big 12 Media Days that Jimmy Rogers clearly voted for Iowa State because no one else was going to vote for Iowa State. And I'm trying to find that same preseason poll. I can't seem to find it now. I know it was like an unofficial thing almost that they did.
I know exactly where. I think on 3.
Was it on 3?
I think on 3. I think I'm not sure if it was Brett McMurphy or who it might
I think
have
it
been.
was Brett maybe, but I'll need to find that because I think there was a couple of others that clearly voted for their team. But regardless, his explanation for why is, yeah, that's smart. That's very smart. If you have players, and surely with 100 guys, one of them's going to be smart enough to realize, hey, coaches can vote for their own teams, and our coach voted for BYU or Texas Tech, not for us. I mean, it's a small thing, really, but it's not. It's also a really brilliant thing to kind of pick up on, and clearly not every coach thought about that, but I bet you they will now. I bet you next year we'll see like 9 votes for Tech. Well, I don't know. And now we might not see accurate media polls because every team's just going to have 1 vote for themselves. So maybe this isn't a good thing. We won't have a very good media poll or a preseason poll by the coaches because, yeah, now West Virginia will have a vote, and it'll be Rich Rod, and Oklahoma State will have a vote, and it'll be Eric Morris. But I think in this particular sample, just a really smart play by Jimmy Rogers. He's very intense. He joked with us that it was because he's only like 5'8" or whatever it was that he said, and I don't want to shortchange him there. Maybe he said 5'9". Okay, yep. Well, there's a difference. So he's 5'9", so he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, as he told us. But yeah, very intense guy, but very interesting guy. Like I could see the Matt Campbell comparisons as far as that kind of intensity and belief goes, and he's had some success. He's not just some fresh, completely brand new person to this whole coaching thing. He's done it before, not for a very long time as a head coach, but he has had some success. So I think that, yeah, for as little as we know about him, what we do know about Jimmy Rogers is intriguing. And I think it's natural to look at them and to have all these unknowns and see him making this jump from, FCS or whatever, and think that there's going to be a really hard uphill climb. But it's the Big 12, man, so maybe not. Like, maybe they get to a bowl game in year number 1. I did not give them much benefit of the doubt, but to me, that was because they're just such a question mark. So I acknowledge it, like, yeah, there are a lot of unknowns. That doesn't mean all those unknowns will be bad. If they turn out good, then this will be the team that when I wrap around at the end of the year, I'll say I was dead-ass wrong about Iowa State and Jimmy Rogers. Mm-hmm. I was so wrong about them because I think I had them at the very bottom of the league. And it wasn't because I necessarily think they're just going to be awful, but I just don't believe I can vote with a lot of confidence in a team that's replacing their entire staff and entire roster for the most part.
This isn't against Jimmy Rogers. Like Rich Rod last year would have been down near the bottom of the poll.
But he has a lot of room, therefore, to then prove people, quote unquote, wrong and show everybody that, no, this is still going to be an Iowa State program that you're going to have to reckon with. So I love that inspired some of the Iowa State fans and gave them a little bit of boost of confidence in their new guy and a little bit extra love for his method there. So, yeah, I thought that was a cool anecdote. There was a ton of them in that interview. I mean, from him talking about the Pac-12 and how all that fell apart. George Kliavkoff just undoing it all himself. I mean, as Jamie said to us, you already had schools like Oklahoma and Texas and Oklahoma State and Texas Tech and all those that have been looking around and getting very close to what could have been a Pac-12 deal. Obviously, that didn't go through, but then you have this time a little while later where if the Pac-12 wanted to, they could have killed off the Big 12 in the same way that they got killed off killed off's probably not the right word because that's pretty final, but
they could have hurt them.
Could have hurt them really, really badly, gravely hurt them the same way if they had taken some combination of Tech and Oklahoma State or whoever. But as I said back then, and that was the one thing that was kind of not fluid, was that their arrogance was their death knell. And Kliavkoff's arrogance in saying, for what Pollard told us, the moment that they said we're not expanding, that's when Oklahoma State and Texas Tech and whoever else might have been looking around was like, all right, they're not bringing on teams. When Big 12 it is, and let's go do our thing. And that's when they said, all right, we're going to go take the Pac-12 schools, and they sure as hell did. And so, yeah, that was a massive miscalculation by George Kliavkoff. I thought him talking about how the Longhorn Network actually saved the Big 12 is not.
I had a couple of people contact me with direct messages and text messages getting clarification on exactly what he said, and I sent him the clip.
Yeah, I mean, he explained it really well, and I know it sounds kind of crazy for most people to probably hear that, but you should go back and watch that clip of him talking about the Longhorn Network. I actually just told Garrett to put that up if he gets a chance to. So I thought that was really interesting, that how that actually did end up keeping things together longer and leading to where it is all right now. And I think the big piece of news that I saw that people took away from it was the timeline. I didn't realize that wasn't out there. I kind of think we're sort of in our own little bubble sometimes. And so forget that, sometimes we can break news too, quite often actually, but that was not common knowledge in Ames that he was going to probably be gone before the end of this year.
That was the first part that people started to notice, because that was early on in his interview too.
Yeah, so that was obviously useful and good information to have, was that he's going to be out of there as soon as they find the new AD. So that was a fun interview. I hope we get to talk to him again at some point. And I don't know, we'll be able to squeeze as much as we got out of that one yesterday, but that was a great one, and really appreciated his time.
I noticed that Nick Jones, who's a major part of Iowa State athletics, I put the interview back up, and he retweeted it. And Nick has been great getting us access to Jamie Pollard over the years. And Jamie sent me a text. I sent him a text, and I think we will get him one more time after he walks out the door. When it's official, he's no longer the AD. We might just get him to talk about college sports.
Well, I did want to ask him, but we eventually just had to go. But I did want to ask him if, and also it's kind of a depressing question to ask when you're an audience full of college football lovers. But I do wonder, when he gets to step away, does he step away entirely and say, I'll watch a game here and there, but I'm not going to keep up the way that I kept up these last few years. I'm not going to, he doesn't need to be stressed about any of it now because none of it's his issue any longer. But dealing with all of the issues of the last few years, does he just take a break from college sports for a little while to heal his brain and just rest up a little bit from the chaos of the last 4 to 5 years? Or is this something where we're still going to see him around quite a bit? He's clearly going to enjoy retirement, but I would like to know kind of his thoughts on his love level of college sports now, not having to deal with all of the stuff versus having to be in the heat of battle all the time. But there was a ton of good stuff there from him, and just really appreciate his candor. And not a lot of ADs would be as open and honest about various topics. And I like that we didn't just have to stay on one thing, that we could kind of float around and get more insight, because there's been articles and stuff written, but there hasn't really been a ton of deep dives on that whole Pac transition, because while we did get details along the way, and yes, there's been articles written, everything just moves on so quickly. So now it's all right, now you're onboarding these schools, and now it's on to the this, that, and the other. But you start to go back and dissect that now 4 years removed from it. And there's still a lot to unpack from that time, because it was so just crazy there for about 10, 12 months of speculation and reporting and all of that, there's still more to explore and flesh out from that time period, as painful as it probably will be for, a couple schools from the Pac-12. It's not painful for USC or UCLA or most everybody that left to greener pastures. But for Oregon State and Washington State, it's obviously a very painful blow. So kudos to them for keeping it afloat. And I look forward to what the new Pac-12 looks like this year with guys like G.J. Kinney and Texas State now part of it. But that was a very interesting time period.
Imagine how the story would have been written had Kliavkoff said, no, we're coming after, we're going to add people.
Well, he did say that at one point, though, we haven't decided if we're going to go. I forget the exact language.
He made a comment based on Brett Yormark sometimes saying, I think it was open for business or whatever it was, because I think John Kurtz uses that now as the name of his newsletter. but we're open for business. And Kliavkoff made it was a smart ass remark, and it was pointed at Brett Yormark and even the Big 12.
Here's what it was. He said at Pac-12 Media Day, we haven't decided if we're going shopping there. That was the exact quote from George Kliavkoff. And that was back, I guess, would have been, 3 years ago. And that was a comment that he obviously probably said that was actually 4 years ago. That was a comment. He probably felt really cool saying that, but didn't realize that was a dumbass comment to make. But when, they decided that they were not going to go shopping, that's when the Big 12 said, all right, Oklahoma State now knows that they're not going to the Pac. Texas Tech knows they're not going to the Pac, and they're sure as heck not going to any of these other leagues right now. So where do you turn? You turn inward and you go, all right, Big 12 it is. Let's do what we can and do the best we can. And that led to all sorts of craziness there over the 2022-2023 time period.
All right. That's Jamie Pollard. And again, we appreciate his time. Wanted to play that back because there's a lot of nuggets in the interview with him yesterday. We do have that up on 365 Sports on YouTube if you want to watch it. Now, let's get to the quarterback rankings. TheAthletic.com and Sam Kahn and Antonio Morales. We have Sam on a lot. He'll be with Craig and Garrett tomorrow. They have like 8 or 9 tiers. Let's leave that up. Let me describe what they say about tier 1. The best of the best. Of course, that makes sense. They have a strong combination of proven production, elite traits, and are among the Heisman Trophy frontrunners. Coaches want to build their teams around them. And there's 8. Trinidad Chambliss, Dante Moore, Oregon, C.J. Carr, Mensa now at Miami, Sayin in another year at Ohio State, Mestamaker at Oklahoma State, Arch at Texas, and Sam Levitt, who was at Arizona State, at 8 in the Tier 1 group, according to TheAthletic.com, who's now at LSU.
Yeah, that looks about right. I mean, obviously people can argue over the order of that. And okay, so AI is basically eliminated proofreading, but man, I think I was born to be a proofreader because Sayin is S-A-Y-N, I do believe. But nevertheless, that's just the proofreader in me. I've always just been able to...
S-A-Y-N?
S-A-Y-I-N. I'm sorry.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
S-A-Y-I-N. I pick up on things like that. If AI hadn't eliminated proofreaders, that could have been a great secondary career option for me. And maybe there's still some jobs out there. We'll see. But nevertheless, just noticed that right off top. Besides that, this is about what you would expect. I mean, I definitely think there are probably some people out there grumbling that Arch Manning's too low, that he should be above a Mestamaker, but I don't think there's a great argument that he should be above many of those other guys. I mean, that's a pretty salty, solid list. So besides jockeying for a spot here and there, and that's just an example, or some Notre Dame fan that feels like CJ Carr should maybe be number 1, and you'd have an argument for that. I mean, that's the kind of typical discourse that comes with it. But yeah, I'd say that's a pretty salty and pretty accurate tier 1. I'm very curious about Sam Levitt at LSU. I mean, having Kiffin coach him up is going to be great for him. Having Dillingham and then Kiffin, I mean, what better really could you have for your development? So expecting big things for him so long as the health piece is there for him this time around. I'm very intrigued by him, but I'm super stoked to see all these guys play. I know that John McClain yesterday said Trinidad Chambliss should have left, but it's better for college football, obviously, that he didn't. I don't know if I'd have him at number 1, but I know why there's the case for number 1. And I think it's just really cool that besides all these obvious choices, that Mestamaker is in this group, because I know he was really prolific last year, but he's the only guy that's making a big leap up as far as competition goes.
Right.
I mean, I know Mintz is going from Duke to Miami,
right,
but that's not North Texas to Oklahoma State. So I think Mestamaker's getting a good deal of respect. I almost at this point wonder if we're going to overhype him too much. But if he comes out and delivers, man, then he's a guy you're going to very quickly start hearing about, like in the 2027, 2028 draft, like this dude's in the running along with Carr, saying whoever else for top quarterback.
If Mestamaker takes what he did last year with Morris and does it at the Power 4 level with Oklahoma State, who's has been terrible.
Yeah.
My God, what a
boost the rockets to him. Yeah. I mean, I mean, he already got a ton of play because of what they did last year, but I still think there's an element of, but it was at North Texas. So now you're at Oklahoma State, which is a step up in just a week to week. And it's a great opportunity for him. So glad to see he's getting some respect there. But like any other list, you can argue over the order.
All right. So take one name that's not in the top 4. And in the chat, you can do this as well. And just kind of have fun with this. Take one name, 5 through 8, and move them into the top 4. Tell me which name it is, where they go, and then, of course, you got to knock somebody out. You could say, like, let's move somebody to 3. That doesn't mean Carr's out. Mensa or Moore so do that for me, in your opinion. That's off the cuff. Just Chambliss, Moore. I think these are all really good choices. I really do. And I'm going to read what you said. Think about that, and we'll go to the chat room. Tag my name so I'll see your comment in the chat. This is what they have to say about Sam Levitt. He was arguably the best quarterback in the portal. He's as cool as a cucumber with the game on the line, throws an elite deep ball, really good athlete, super talented kid. You want to talk about competitive moxie? The kid's got it through the roof. I get worried, one scout said, about him playing with a Superman cape instead of just running the offense. That's from a Power 4 assistant coach.
Yes, and forgive me because sometimes I blank out. Did you read the definition for Tier 1? I think you did, right? Or did you not? I'll read that.
I did.
Yeah, the best
I
of
did
the
before
best.
we went to the list. Yeah.
Yeah, the strong combination of proven production, elite traits, and the Heisman Trophy front runners. Coaches want to build their teams around them. Just to refresh for people who might be joining us a second or two later. I think this group is absolutely that caliber, and you could definitely rearrange them in some ways, but it's a pretty salty group of quarterbacks this year that leads you to having conversations about, and we do this every year. And last year, obviously, there was not a great crop of quarterbacks in the NFL draft, but I do think that changes this year. Although, as I said, when we talked quarterbacks like 4 months ago, Chambliss has to go. But I'm trying to think. I think almost everybody else on here has at least one more year remaining, which is
all right. Hold
kind
on.
of exciting.
I got this for you. Chambliss, he's in his 6th year. Moore in his 4th year. Carr's in his 3rd year. Mensa 4th year. That'll be interesting. Sayans is 3rd year. That includes the year coming up. Mestamaker in his 3rd year. Arch in his 4th year, but he could come back. And then Levitt in his 4th year at the number 8 spot.
Yeah, but 4th year means nothing because a lot of these guys took red shirts.
Yep.
So that Dante Moore still has 2 more years remaining, including this year. I think everybody on this list outside of Trinidad Chambliss, I believe, and maybe I'm just blanking on somebody, but I believe everybody has an opportunity to come back. I need to double check on Sam Levitt now that I'm thinking about it, but it's either a massive draft of quarterbacks or we get like a couple of these guys will decide to go out. But I really like the top of the quarterback class in college football this year. And Levitt will be.
This will be Levitt's.
He's got 2 years left too. Yeah,
his first year he didn't play very much.
Yeah, so
he wasn't even at Arizona State his first year.
And I still think like there's a very real chance Arch Manning comes back because I think he loves Texas. I think there's the very real chance they could make the playoff and fall short, and he wants to. All right, one more year, we're going to win a national title, and I didn't win the Heisman, or I did, but we didn't win the Natty. Like there's still plenty of motivation for him. He's not needing to go grab any money. Clearly, none of these guys on this list are. Yeah, there will be some really
Here's the thing about Arch.
How these guys are arranged at the end of the year will be fascinating, and which one of them decide to join Chambliss in the draft will be really interesting.
In a day and age where players are playing a long time, the age of a quarterback can matter. He's 22. He would be 23 about the time the draft goes on, and that's right there on the edge of 23, 24. Well, NFL scouts listed. If he's good, he's good. I don't care if he's 23 or 24, but that could come into play too with the decision.
Yeah, I think there's the possibility that you can't rule out that would be the case, especially if you just really love it there. But certainly the NFL is the ultimate goal. And so if they say, dude, if you come rolling in here at 24 years old, like that's going to hurt you, then yeah, maybe that forces him into leaving early. But we could be talking about it just an incredibly crazy ass list of quarterbacks in the 2027 season if things fall a certain way for either the NFL draft or for college football. I imagine it'll probably be somewhere in the middle. Like half these guys will leave, half these guys will come back, and I'm very, very excited to see how they all are situated at the end of this year.
And these are just this is just 8. There's more to get to. And that doesn't include a young man that's not playing football this year will be eligible for the draft in April.
I was going to say, where would Sorsby be in this list? I think it'd be interesting. I don't know if he would be tier 1.
I don't know if they have 8 in both the first 2 tiers. So I'm not sure if there was like a number, like you couldn't get above 8. But there we are. That's a great question. Tier 2, Jaden Maeva from USC. Noah Fafita, Craig, with the 2 eyes, Arizona. Gunnar Stockton. Now, this is not NFL draft prospect stock, whatever. This is the elite tiers, tier 2. Gunnar Stockton from Georgia. Josh Hoover, Indiana, former TCU. Marcel Reed at A&M. California quarterback at 14, you started talking about him last year, like 2 weeks into the season.
Who?
The quarterback from California at number 14.
What's his name?
It's a quarterback from Sagapoleatea.
You just say JKS, like most people.
Yeah.
Jaren Kiave Sangapolutele. But yeah, this is a good crop of quarterbacks as well. And there's certain things working against like a Noah Fafita as far as the NFL, which I know is not what we're talking about here, but that will.
That's why I said that.
him.
Yeah.
But as far as what they define this as, teams win because of them. They might be more circumstances dependent than tier 1, or there may be a shortcoming keeping them from there, but they are close to the elite group. Maeva was really good last year. Another year with Riley should only be better. Fafita's awesome. Stockton, Reed, and Mateer, another year in the SEC to see them kind of apply their skills. I mean, obviously, Mateer with the injury and Marcel Reed with just the big game performances at times. Definitely have some questions to answer. I think JKS is probably situated pretty well where he's a super talented guy, but he's not by any means close to perfect or completely polished. So I think, top 15 is pretty good in the next couple of years. He'll definitely be much higher than that. And then Kevin Jennings, and he's a super solid starter who's played a ton of football at this point. I think working against him probably in some people's minds is that playoff game against Penn State. That was just a not very good performance or good game from the Mustangs in general, but he particularly struggled. But, I mean, outside of a game like that, he's been nails for the Ponies. And Josh Hoover, I'm super excited to see him at Indiana. I think he's immensely talented, and to have the Signetti coaching now to close out his career. Sonny Dykes is really good too, but the change of scenery and just what they're going to surround him with, I'm very interested in watching Josh Hoover do his thing there in Bloomington. So that's a good crop of second tier quarterbacks. Yeah.
16, 8 in each category. And now here's a list of the Big 12 quarterbacks that were not included in either one of those tiers, which is most of them. Devin Dampier, the highest of this at 22. Wigman at 28, and then Bachmeier, Hammond. And Hammond has been overshadowed in some of the lists because everyone, when they made him, maybe made him back when they thought somebody else would be the quarterback for 35. This is overall. Avery Johnson and Jaden Craig, the transfer from Harvard at TCU. Cutter Boley from Kentucky. DJ Lagway, 42 at Baylor. And then there's Barnett, Julian Lewis, Rayner, Iowa State, Michael Hawkins at West Virginia, who was at Oklahoma, and J.C. French from Cincinnati, a transfer, and Cole Ballard at 108 with Kansas.
I mean, I think Will Hammond being 35 is still pretty respectable given he hasn't played a ton of football. I mean, so yeah, that might have been somewhat Sorsby influenced, but even still, like, I don't think he's done anything to place him much higher than that.
This is not Sorsby influenced, other than the fact that Hammond is the guy when they went into making this list.
Yeah, I mean, I think 35 is probably about right. Great opportunity and pretty good likelihood he'll surpass that. But, yeah, I mean, he hasn't proven a ton yet at this point. To have him over an Avery Johnson and a DJ Lagway and some of these guys who we've seen play a little bit as well, I think is not crazy. But if you're looking back on what we were saying about Avery Johnson or DJ Lagway a couple of years ago, you'd probably sort of think that, I mean, Hammond was highly rated, but Avery Johnson, you're expecting him to be like some superstar at this point, and he's not quite gotten there.
I thought there was a chance he could end up being someone like Eric Crouch.
Right. And then Lagway, obviously, just a lot of issues with the end of the Napier era there in Gainesville, and just he wasn't good, and he's got a lot to prove. But the only thing that stands out to me right here, I mean, again, there's like the jockeying that you could do of like, no, Barnett should be a couple spots higher or whatever. I think having Michael Hawkins over J.C. French is a little bit disrespectful, just because I think J.C. French has played a bit more.
What is your memory of Michael Hawkins?
He came in a pinch when Oklahoma had a quarterback injury, and he was okay. He was definitely very raw still. You saw the athleticism, but you also saw a guy who was still very unsure, and it looked like the game was moving pretty quick for him. Not a whole lot of memories, to be totally honest with you. I mean, he did play quite a bit a couple years ago, but there was nothing that stood out as far as like he's the future of Oklahoma football. It's just like you hoped he played well enough to just give them a chance to win the game, but he didn't have any just like crazy ass performances. They were all sort of just like, okay. And yeah, that was not a real memorable time at the quarterback spot.
I remember the game he played against Oklahoma. Like you said, he was put in a pinch. He didn't do much passing, no picks, but he got sacked 6 times. He had 27 yards rushing, and he's supposed to be a running threat. Texas beat up Oklahoma 24 badly.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was a tough game for him to play in because Texas is immensely talented. I think he was not quite ready for that challenge, but I mean, he played a lot that year.
He played a bunch against Navy in the bowl game. They lost that game, but he put up a pretty big numbers, a couple of touchdowns in that bowl game against Navy.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line didn't help him a lot of times either. Now, some of that is also you're holding on to the ball too long or making the wrong decision. I think he's a good quality pickup for West Virginia. I think it's a couple years removed from getting a ton of playing time. So having Rich Rod and getting more reps and all of that, I think will be beneficial. I would not be shocked at all if Scotty Fox is like sharing time or even takes over the job maybe for a week or two, because I think those guys are pretty even. I think there's a lot of upside. I just am not of the belief that like they acquired some game changer at quarterback. I think he could be good as part of a combination, and he's definitely additive to Rich Rod's roster. But I'm not at all expecting him to light the world on fire. And I think because we have seen a bit less of him than a J.C. French, I would probably have French over Hawkins. But again, that's a very tedious, like minor thing. And I'm sure there's a great argument for why where they are makes sense. I'm not trying to make this a whole thing. I do think there's still a lot of questions about Michael Hawkins and whether he'll just roll into Morgantown and just be the man from start to finish, because what we've seen has been, very up and down, and a guy who's hopefully getting a lot of that quarterback polishing that Rich Rod is capable of giving guys.
Let me see what they say about Michael. What number is Hawkins? He's at 72. Let me see what they wrote about him, because they wrote a full article on everybody. Not much. They didn't know. Haven't publicly named a starter. We knew that. Rich Rod said that to us on Big 12 Media Days. Showed promise, but pairing the athletic Hawkins with a transfer like Cam Cook at running back is enticing. Could draw comparisons. Be careful, though, with Pat White and Steve Slayton. Hawkins, who backed up Jackson Arnold, again, that game with Texas. Legit athleticism, but has to be in the right type of offense to make something happen. Sidearm delivery and accuracy issues are, without a doubt, a concern.
Yeah, Oklahoma clearly felt they could recruit over him and around him, right? So, he was not part of their future plans, but I think he's got a good spot in Morgantown, so we'll see what happens. But I definitely think we'll see plenty of Scotty Fox as well. And if not, then I'll eat that, because I'm not one of those media guys afraid to point out when I was dead wrong about something. So I think he'll be good. I just don't think he's going to be wire to wire like the man. But I'll be happy to be proven wrong about that.
There's some names that I see like have been at other schools. Everyone seemed like 90% of these quarterbacks are transfers in some particular way. Just interested to see now where they might be. So there we are with the Big 12 quarterbacks, other than those ranked in the first 2 tiers. And that's from Sam Kahn and Antonio Morales from theathletic.com.
Yeah, it's fun to look at lists like that and to get kind of everybody's opinions on where things stand. It's definitely rankings season. I guess it's always ranking season in college football. But, yeah, we're getting into the nitty-gritty, and the exciting part is wherever these guys are placed on lists like this, we're going to see the real deal. And I'm far more interested in how this list works itself into reality. And if we were to go back and revisit this sometime in December, January, how accurate was it and how completely off base was it? And the fun thing will be like, well, who was the big surprise? Maybe Michael Hawkins is going to make me eat a ton of crow and he's going to be complete badass dual threat for the Mountaineers. Or maybe J.C. French is like the next big thing in the Big 12. I mean, you don't know. And then maybe
no one thought Trinidad Chambliss was who he was when he came in.
Not who he was, no. Yeah. And then, maybe Trinidad Chambliss isn't that good this year compared to a year ago. And maybe he's more of a top 15 quarterback. I doubt that. I'm just throwing examples about like some of this is going to be right. Some of this is going to be wrong. And the fun is seeing along the way of how that all kind of unfolds.
Let's go back to the one more time, Tier 1, the 8 quarterbacks in Tier 1. Now, I asked people to give me a name that was in the top 8, but not in the top 4, and shift them around, but you have to give me who's going to be out. And Paxton wasn't listening correctly. He said, take out Mestamaker and put Arch in his spot. Well, that would be from 7 to 6. I'm asking you if anybody in the top 4 should be removed and anybody from 5 through 8 should replace them. So flipping Manning from 7 to 6, it doesn't even get much notice, but he doesn't like it, Mestamaker at all. In the write-up about Mestamaker, the scouts say this kid can be special. He's got the chance to be special, and he really hasn't played a lot. That's the thing until last year when he lit people up when he was the quarterback at North Texas. So that's the note about Paxton. I asked you to take somebody out of the 4, but he does say take Mestamaker out completely, put Arch in at number 7 or 6.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned something along those lines earlier talking about it. So, yeah, I mean, Mestamaker is one of the more intriguing guys on this list because everybody else has kind of been there, proven it. And then, Mentz is obviously making the jump over from Duke to Miami. But Levitt to LSU, again, fascinating situation there as well. So we'll see how well those changes work out. But I think Mestamaker is the most intriguing guy as far as proving that he's as good as advertised. I don't think anybody really doubts. I know people doubt or hate on Arch Manning, but he's still good. To pretend otherwise is just foolish. It's just trolling more than anything. But there are people who have good reason, have actual reason to wonder if Mestamaker's as good as advertised. So we are going to see this year.
I think Arch Manning by the end of the year was phenomenal. And I know that the first 5 or 6 games, it was like, man, you just wondered. It just didn't look right. And then he'd throw the last 6 games. And what he can do with his legs is something that even when he was recruited out of Louisiana and picked Texas, I never thought. But he is a phenomenal threat to run the football, and he showed that too. Avery Johnson, bracket cat. He deserves to be down there where he is for what he has accomplished to date, but he will vault into at least the Tier 2 level this season, mark my words. Bracket cat, thank you for the feedback on Avery Johnson.
Yeah, I think that's level-headed, and there's plenty of reason to be excited that him and Colin Klein paired up again will lead to some magic. So, yeah, I think that's a very exciting thing for Kansas State fans to be looking forward to and predicting will happen. I think there's a very real chance that comes true. He's certainly got all the natural tools.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been, I think, the last couple of years for K-State just always sort of felt like something was off. And still they won their fair share of games, but just compared to where they were, Big 12 title win, didn't ride the wave as well as you'd hope for. And I think part of that has been that Avery Johnson just hasn't been like better every year, taking significant steps of progress. I think he will definitely take a significant step forward this year, and I'm excited to see that.
Kyle Visser, Dampier is very overrated based on what last year's performance. I think at the end of last year, and sometimes you let the end of a season affect what you think the next season, but what I saw the last couple of 3 games with Utah, and maybe I'm missing a game, I thought he kind of everything clicked for him. Now, of course, with the change, the transition with Scally as the head coach, not sure if that helps him even more or not? Kim Coulter saying that Josh Hoover is the same as Donovan Smith. They throw a lot of picks.
Yeah, I mean, I was very clear on that criticism of him. Like, go back 2 years ago, I was talking about that with Josh Hoover, and I remember asking Sonny Dykes about it. And now I realize he just couldn't talk bad about his guy, because he basically a year later said the exact same thing, which is what got him getting that response from Kurt Cignetti, was that Josh Hoover turns the ball over too much. And I'd been saying that. And I said, again, it's not even just the interceptions. It was the fumbles as well. He was fumbling the ball a ton. Now, is that always his fault, or is he getting blindsided because his tackle didn't protect well enough? Probably a little bit of both. But, yeah, not a guy that holds onto the football really well. So, yeah, Donovan Smith had a lot of good intangibles, but was definitely a turnover machine. That's going to be really fascinating to see if Cignetti can coach that out. Now, of course, he made the comment about we're going to teach him his two best friends, like a running game and a defense, which was a great response to the Sonny Dykes comments and a perfect way to kind of just drop the mic and defend your guy. But will that happen, or will Josh Hoover be out there playing Ohio State or somebody and throwing 3 picks and fumbling once? Because that's what we saw. Maybe not that volume, but it was every week he was seemingly turning the ball over at least once or twice. So, yeah, that's something that's got to get coached out of him for Indiana to be back on the mountaintop this year. But I'm excited to see that combination. And I think with Devin Dampier, I think he's a really good player. I don't think he's a great passer by any means. And he's a little small for my taste. I do think he was a little bit banged up last year too, and that probably played into some of the struggles. I do feel like sometimes he gets lumped in with the top tier of quarterbacks, and I don't know that I would place him there, but I'd place him right underneath that as far as the Big 12 guys go. And certainly he'll have the ability this year to position himself at the very top. But yeah, I'm not completely sold on he's a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12. I think I'd be more inclined to Bear Bachmeier and some other guys we could discuss before Devin Dampier.
I am doing everything I can to try to find their rankings from 2025. I wonder where they had Fernando Mendoza. I wonder who may have been overmodulated, and I also wonder who maybe was for example, a Trinidad Chambliss. There's no way that they had them on. He wasn't even on their radar because he wasn't even supposed to start. Simmons, I believe, was supposed to start.
He was Austin Simmons, but I think maybe the Athletic just didn't do a 2025 version, so that's probably why you can't find it.
Yeah, everything I look at, it's the NFL, and I've tried to make it about college football. Avery Johnson.
No, here we go.
Okay.
I think I found it. Yeah, this is from Sam Conn and Antonio Morales, July of 2025. So looks like same kind of deal. Oh, oof. All right, let's
how badly was it?
Okay, we'll start off with number 1 overall, Cade Klubnik. So that didn't work out as well as you hoped. Number 2, Garrett Nussmeier.
Nope.
Number 3 was Lenore Sellers.
Nope. Nope.
John Mateer at 4. Lagway 5. Aller 6. Levitt 7.
Aller was okay. Levitt 7. He didn't know. Levitt, no.
Okay is definitely Aller. Levitt was up and down. Jennings 8, Hoover 9, Arch 10, and that was the tier 1. So that was not a great tier 1 last year. There was no Trinidad Chambliss.
No, they had
a lot of guys
1 or 2 guys that are in
tier
1, but even Arch would not have been tier 1 even no matter how he finished the year. There's maybe they hit on Aller, who may not have been 6, but he was probably, not
he
at
was
all.
not a tier 1 quarterback.
Okay, well,
no.
they might have gone 0 for 10.
No. Because Levitt didn't have a super prolific year.
Nope, he shut it down.
So I don't know. Maybe Kevin Jennings would be fine there. Arch, I think in tier 1 was, I don't know. But clearly that list was not entirely
10.
accurate.
They didn't have 8. They had 10 last year. Yeah.
Well, I mean, splitting hairs there, but I think, there's a couple guys in that list that transfer over like an Arch Manning, and I don't think he was by any means he was definitely tier 2 or tier 3. So that tier 1 did not pan out very well. Tier 2 was Sawyer Robertson, Carson Beck, Luke Altmaier, Rocco Becht, Diego Pavia, and Haynes King.
Pavia should have been tier 1. King should have been most likely tier 1 too, based on.
But Haynes King, yeah.
No, he had a hell of a year. Now
he had a hell of a year, but he could barely throw the football.
Well, that doesn't mean. But to me, if you look at who was in tier 1 and who didn't play like tier 1, Pavia, King, and maybe one or two others would have been in tier 1.
Yeah, I think he's very good. I'm just saying, I'd have to look around to say, no, for sure he was tier 1. Yeah, I think he was in the conversation. But I also think he was completely hamstrung, which only makes everything that he did more impressive. So, yeah, I don't want to go through all of these, but Darian Mensah last year was tier 3. And Fernando Mendoza, to answer your question, was tier 3. He was 17th overall. So, respectable, but definitely not anywhere near where he actually landed as the national champion, undefeated, Heisman Trophy winning, number one overall quarterback in the draft.
Where was Carson Beck, please? Is he in the tier 3 or
he
tier
was number
2?
12 in tier 2.
Okay. Haynes King, nearly 3,000 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, because you're right, he couldn't throw the ball, ran for over nearly 1,000 yards and scored a bunch of touchdowns. I'm saying based on who they had, I think by the end of the year, if they would have redone that, I wonder if he would have been tier 1. No question that Pavia should have been tier 1. They didn't believe in him the year before. He still was very good last year.
Yeah, no, he probably would have been in that conversation. Yeah, I think he probably would have, definitely finished top 10 or whatever that would have been. But, that was the list last year. So, stands to reason tier 1 could look a lot different at the end of the year if it's anything like what the 2025 list was.
All right, let's do this. We're going to take a break, come back with the wheel. We'll have the trivia, quizzes, of course, and then also we'll have the polls, all of that from Andrew Valade. One other note that we didn't get to today, Texas and Baylor in men's basketball. Texas is loading up their non-conference schedule. I saw they have put together one hell of a schedule with Miller there. Texas, Baylor men's basketball on Sunday, November 15th. They'll play that in San Antonio, the Frost Bank Center. San Antonio Hoops showdown between UT and Baylor, former Big 12 rivals, and even back in the Southwest Conference. This is 365 Sports.
You heard of the new IRA, the Insured Retirement Advantage? It's a strategy for younger high-income earners and small business owners who want to get serious about retirement. The Insured Retirement Advantage can help you build a tax-free income stream for retirement, protect your family's legacy, keep your capital working efficiently, and you don't need ultra-high net worth status to qualify. Call 623-256-6902 or go to NorthstarFundingPartners.com and tell them 365 Sports sent you.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Make this the summer event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get behind the wheel of an iconic new Dodge Charger RT and score $5,000 in savings. First responders and military members get an extra $500 bonus. Allen Samuels Dodge.
Come by, let's be friends.
Hi, I'm Dana Hassel, President and CEO of American Bank. Waco is a great place for business, and for more than 70 years, American Bank has been the bank for business. We continue to invest in our growing community with state-of-the-art branches conveniently located to serve you within minutes. Our experienced bankers, lenders, and decision makers work directly with business owners like you every day, providing tailored solutions, timely answers, and local insights, face-to-face. Schedule a meeting with one of our bankers today and find out what makes American Bank the bank for your business. Member FDIC.
At Home Place Interiors, we elevate your space with elegance and class. We are the exclusive Sonoma tile dealer in Central Texas, bringing you the best in high-end floor coverings that transform your home with beauty and elegant design. Our white glove service and expert consultations ensure your vision becomes a reality as we take you step by step through the process. Call today to schedule your personal design consultation. Visit HomePlaceInteriorsTX.com. Home Place Interiors, crafting elegance, one room at a time.
This 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson and Brad Wilson in Waco, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe, with an individualized approach to addressing your financial needs, including education, savings, planning for retirement, and protection strategies. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, making sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. It's time for the Smoak Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoak and David Smoak.
I got this from Toby Webb. It's a picture from earlier this morning with Drayton McClain Jr. His name is on the stadium where Baylor plays their football games. He, of course, an unbelievable entrepreneur. He turned 90 this morning. They had a big party for him in his hometown of Cameron. Drayton McClain Jr., 90 years young. Happy birthday to Drayton McClain. I sat down with him back at the first of the year and enjoyed talking college athletics and business, etc. And we will do that again sometime soon. It is time to spin the wheel. Oh my God, there's one topic.
What gas station brand is your go-to on the road? If nothing specific comes to mind, then are you a fan of some favorites like Buc-ee's or Love's?
Not a favorite of those, not when I get my gas. Even if there's 300 different gas pumps available. Valero, I guess, the corner store, whatever you want to call it, Valero's the one that it just depends. If I'm driving up to Dallas and I need to stop whatever it is next, there's a couple that I don't stop at, but there's no specific like it used to be with Chevron or whatever it might have been back in the day. Sonoco, I don't have one specific.
Yeah, I don't have a major gas station preference. Buc-ee's is cool to experience every once in a while, but don't make it a point to go in there all the time. Love's, yeah, they're cool, I guess, but no, this isn't a topic that I really have some fond favorite. I know there's other college media guys that I've seen over the years that have advertisers and stuff, but not us. So yeah, just kind of whatever is in line with wherever you're going at any given time. But Buc-ee's is an experience, that's for sure.
I think Sefco is one that at least I noticed that name if it's a billboard or a sign that I would stop at. That seems to have a clean place inside too. All right, let's get to the quizzes today. See if we can go 2-0. In baseball's early days, what did stars like Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Shoeless Joe Jackson do during the winter offseason to earn extra money?
I have no idea. Do you have any clue?
I want to say Ty Cobb was a prick. I mean, he could probably get in the boxing ring. I want to say the circus performances, but radio shows, I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, I really don't know at all. So I think we're going to get this question wrong. Trying to kind of think through each one of these. I mean, pro boxing, I could see like an exhibition type thing, especially they're doing the lame-ass exhibitions like they do for $100 million on Netflix now, where it's clearly like halfway rigged, but people love to see the Paul brothers fight people. So we get it anyways. But yeah, I don't know if they had that kind of thing back then. I know they had corrupt boxing. Yeah. Maybe that worked. Vaudeville seems like an intriguing answer. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here. Let's just see what we were wrong about. What was your official one? Did you have an official answer?
Circus performances.
Okay, circus performances. Let's go with that. All right, toured on vaudeville.
How in the hell am I supposed to know that? Are you supposed to know that? But that's why we have the quizzes.
Long before $1 million endorsement deals, baseball stars boosted their income by singing, acting, and performing comedy on the vaudeville stage. The connection ran so deep that Take Me Out to the Ball Game began as a vaudeville song, while Casey at the Bat was made famous by vaudeville performer DeWolf Hopper, who recited it more than 10,000 times. So, okay, well.
We're 0-1. Let's try to get to 1-1 2026 FIFA World Cup drew huge U.S. audiences. What was the peak combined Fox Telemundo audience for Spain's 1-0 World Cup final win against Argentina? I thought it was it's over 60 million. I thought that was over 60 million. What was it like Was it 60 million in the United States and 20 million Telemundo, or was it 40 and 20?
Well, Telemundo's in the United States, so it's Fox and Telemundo, so it'd still be the United States regardless. But yeah, Mexico audience, I guess, involved in that. I think when the ratings came out, it was just Fox and Telemundo. So that's the number I go off, and I think it's over 60 million was the total that we saw yesterday. Now the numbers were fluctuating. I saw a bunch of different, I kept coming out more official numbers, but I believe it was over 60 million.
It was like 66 million. I can't remember the combined number between the two. Let's say over 60 million. It is.
Spain-Argentina final became the most watched soccer telecast in U.S. history, drawing over 60 million viewers. The expanded 48-team World Cup also attracted nearly 7 million fans in stadiums, while Fox averaged 7.7 million viewers per match, more than double the 2022 tournament. So, yeah, they had huge numbers for the World Cup final.
I wonder if any of that is a part of the new rating, viewership system that they're using because of sports bars and watch parties, which has changed some of the numbers, but that's a massive number no matter what. Now, let's get to the poll question. So we went 1 and 1. You're given 2 buttons that dictate the future of college football. Which one are you slamming? Create the Super League had no chance here. One-sided, ban the Super League 74%, because most people who are watching are most likely a part of a conference, or they are a fan of a team that most likely is not the SEC or Big Ten. That's my guess, and that's what the number shows.
Yeah, I mean, I would say ban the Super League as well, but there is an appetite for some people. It's just about a quarter of the people, it looks like, as far as who voted on this. I think that's probably about what it would be if you scaled it out even further. Definitely see some fans that are super gung-ho about the idea of that being a thing in the future, but for the most part, people are not interested in it. We'll see what the TV networks ultimately decide over the next 3 or 4 years. But yeah, right now, I don't think it's something that's happening, but there's a lot of things working to make it happen in the future if they don't change. So glad to see Sankey get some clarification, because, yeah, he basically made it sound like that was obviously coming up if they didn't get what they wanted. So I'm glad he decided yesterday to make sure his message was clear. And right now, there's no Super League.
When we mentioned the offseason, back, by the way, at a quiz, Kyle Visser's one that did say vaudeville. So I want to give him credit for that. And also the second poll question for the viewers. Summer of 1982 hailed as cinema's greatest summer season. Which blockbuster is the greatest of all time? And I picked E.T.
These choices, yeah, I'd pick E.T. as well, without giving it too much thought. Don't much care about Star Trek 2 or any particular Star Trek movie. I've enjoyed some of them, but they're not like greatest summer blockbuster that I've ever seen. Rocky 3 was cool. Poltergeist cool. But no, as far as a summer blockbuster, it would be E.T. for me as well.
All right, so there we are. Thank you, Andrew Valade. With the wheel had one topic. I kept seeing it went from like 16, which looked like a big, huge piece of a pie. And then it's now down to just the one. So we'll get Andrew to dial that up for Garrett and Craig tomorrow. I'm going to be out tomorrow, Friday, and Monday. I'll be back on live with this show on Tuesday. So we do hope you enjoy tomorrow's show. Sam Kahn, by the way, will be a part of it along with Zach Barnett and more. It's no super chats today. We had none. No, I didn't think we probably got it because we just kind of got off to a rough start, but I'm glad we got to where we got today. Rez, thank you. Michelangelo. Garrett Ross, thank you. Cheyenne today as well. I don't know if I ever saw Logan today and Andrew Valade in there doing his thing. For Craig Smoak, tomorrow, Craig and Garrett will do the show from 3 until whenever it's over, the Smoak Show. Good night on 365 Sports.